Okay, I am here. Hope everybody's having a fantastic day so far. Well, looks like the Stream Lord is at it again. Got a lot of stuff to cover today, not a lot of time, so I will be getting right to it here in just a moment. Good to see you, Beacon. Good to see you. Looks like it's time for some midweek late night doomer news. Okay. It's still kind of audible. It's a little annoying to me. Hold on. Something I've been trying to do in terms of closing down the number of windows that I have going on at once. I've been using my software here to trigger this sound, but now, whenever I trigger it, it just wants to keep going. You bad boy. Okay. What do we got here first? So much stuff. And thank you for sharing the link, BCat. No, I'm starting late. I was waiting for left past 10 to at least be a couple hours in, I would say, even though Letter Hack started really early. So I think he's been going for like 6 hours. Oh, Brandy Nuance, good to see ya. Good to see ya. Alright, since not a lot of people are here, I figured that might be the case because of the way that I was starting this stream. We're just gonna watch this video. Starting in America, but historical stuff instead of current news stuff. I've got plenty of current news stuff to hit up, so I figured we started off with something easy. Wait, pause. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a little while. It's good to see you. Okay, this is a video entitled When White Supremacists Overthrew the Government. This is a Vox video. So, yeah, just a shout out to them. Not that they need them. I think they literally have like, what, 100,000 times as many subscribers as I have? But either way, either way. Okay. I break news. You just have to break from news sometimes. It's very funny. It's very funny. But I don't really break news. I certainly wouldn't consider myself actual breaking news. I think I just, if anything, am distributing it in a way that is hopefully slightly fun, slightly entertaining. But unfortunately, you know, I feel like most of what I do is sifting through news and trying to find the stuff that's relevant, the stuff that I'm interested in. I think other people who think like me or similarly to me would be also interested in. And then I talk about it. That is nuts. I'm struggling to recover from that. That was crazy. That was elite racism right there. Top tier. That's S tier racism. I'm not even gonna repeat what she said. It was so utterly racist. I assume you're referring to those cartoons and all these other things that were there. I mean, welcome to the 1800s. It wasn't so long ago, really. Did you see that? It feels like it feels like we're doing the exact same thing. We got to look at this. There, boom. There it is. There it is. It's the sort of thing that's being done right now. In like, for instance, with the case of trans people, right? With trans ideology, Negroism. That is the same sort of language being used. But I think the main point of why I wanted us to watch this video to start things off is because it's election year, and considering what has happened, I feel like it's a good idea to consider how some the way elections have gone in the past as well. Oh, good to see you, Vincent. Welcome back. Go web go, please. Okay, cool. I think that's probably all I really wanted us to watch about that, but just wanted to prime us up for the rest of the day here and get us thinking about the ways in which democracy has been subverted at times, even in America. And I don't know if you all heard the beginning of that, but they were literally they struggled for, I don't know exactly how long they said, but the documents relating to this were all under lock and key at the library in Wilmington, and nobody was allowed to view it for any purpose, essentially hiding history away. Okay. This next one is not historical. Well, not quite yet. Kind of is already, I suppose, but this is only from a day ago. 2 days, excuse me. This is a Democracy Now! Video entitled Meet Abby Crane, IVF patient in midst of treatment, derailed by Alabama High Court. Pause. Okay. Oh, look, Lords of Darkness is back. Good to see you.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. Reproductive health and medical groups have asked the Alabama Supreme Court to revisit its recent ruling that frozen embryos should be considered children. The decision sent shockwaves through the world of reproductive medicine as legal experts and infertility specialists try to address the potential effects on access to IVF, that's in vitro fertilization, and other fertility treatments. The defendants in the lawsuit, the Center for Reproductive Medicine and the Mobile Infirmary, on Friday filed the petition, and the Medical Association of the State of Alabama and the Alabama Hospital Association filed a brief in support. Last week, Alabama's Republican-controlled State House and Senate passed legislation to enact civil and criminal protections for IVF providers, but the bills do not...
I just want to pause in this picture, okay? Just because, and there's plenty more that they're going to get into, but, like, it's ridiculous. You need a microscope to be able to even see these things. You want to call it a child? You can't stick a child in dry ice. You know, you can't stick a child in the freezer. Go tell child services that. They will take away your kid immediately. Okay, so that's not how children work.
The classification of embryos as children. Neither bill even mentions the word embryo. This came after a single Republican senator blocked quick passage Friday of a bill to create federal protections for in vitro fertilization. The measure was introduced by Democratic Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth, who had both of her daughters using IVF. This is Republican Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith of Mississippi, who blocked the bill. But first, Senator Duckworth.
Women willing to go through expensive, painful medical treatments just for a chance to experience the smallest, most banal moments of parenthood. Just to have a newborn to swaddle, a baby whose diaper needs to be changed, a toddler who needs their shoes to be tied. And if you believe that they have the right to be called mom without also being called a criminal, then all you have to do to prove it is to let us pass this should be obvious legislation.
The court.
The thing is, I feel, and I think Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith is about to enlighten us to some of this, but it does genuinely feel like the Republicans in Alabama have kind of shot themselves in the foot in some ways with this, because there's a lot of getting IVF treatment is not a what do you call it? It's not like a political thing, right? Democrats and Republicans get IVF treatment. It has nothing to do with your political party. It has everything to do with your wanting a child and not being able to have one without it, right? And it seems like they've made a lot of people angry. Somewhat surprisingly, I guess I would say, to me, because it did genuinely feel like this horrible direction of claiming that, you know, your eggs are children, your sperm are children, and so on and so forth, to the point where, you know, people start getting I'm not going to go this far, but yeah, I think you get what I'm saying. It did feel like it was just horrible sort of snowball, and it's funny to see them sort of second guessing it now.
Holding in favor of the parents found that these frozen human embryos are children under Alabama law. It did not ban IVF, nor has any state banned IVF. The bill before us today is a vast overreach that is full of poison pills that go way too far beyond ensuring legal access to IVF.
The recent Alabama Supreme Court ruling stems from appeals cases brought by 3 couples whose frozen embryos at a reproductive clinic in Mobile, Alabama were accidentally destroyed when a hospital patient dropped them on the floor. In a 7-2 decision, the Alabama Supreme Court ruled the couples can now sue the clinic for wrongful death. The decision's partly hinged on anti-abortion language added to the Alabama Constitution in 2018 that says the state recognizes the, quote, rights of the unborn child, unquote.
Eating at 10 p.m. I guess that's weird. Can't sleep, but you can't. I understand that. I've been there.
More were joined in Birmingham, Alabama by Abby Crane, journalist and artist who'd been undergoing IVF treatments for nearly 2 years and was preparing to transfer her frozen embryos when the Alabama State Supreme Court ruled that frozen embryos can be considered children. On Thursday, she traveled to the White House to meet with Vice President Kamala Harris for a private meeting. Abby Crane also reports on women and gender issues for the news outlet Reckon. We welcome you to Democracy Now!, Abby. Can you start off by responding to the Alabama Supreme Court ruling and then talk about how it's affected you personally?
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, when it first came out, I was aware of the ruling and what they were trying to do, and then on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, I saw on actually social media on Instagram that my clinic was pausing in response. my first reaction was just sheer rage. I was extremely angry.
Yeah, no kidding.
And honestly fell apart for a little bit.
How does it affect what you're going through? I mean, I think what's missing in a lot of the coverage is what people go through when you undergo IVF. The hopes and dreams you have, but also physically what this means.
Oh, don't forget, everybody, that IVF treatments cost upwards of $30,000 per round. So they're also incredibly expensive.
Sure. So I've been undergoing IVF for the past 2 years, but I've been receiving infertility treatment for the last 5 years. So the ups and downs of, injecting yourself with hormones, the ways it affects your mental health, the ways it affects your physical body, the pain of the procedures. You constantly have to be in this, when you're in it, I say I compartmentalize the hope. When I'm in it, I try to be present and hopeful, but, when I've taken a pause on the procedures, I have to just put it away in order to, put one foot in front of the other and do something else. But I am so fortunate. I'm thankful that I was not in the middle of a procedure or on medication currently, or had egg retrieval scheduled. I can't imagine the folks that were actually in the middle of treatment. But because we were gearing up to schedule a implantation, the fact that these men down the street from me who serve on the Alabama Supreme Court have more say over when I choose to become a mother right now than me, and that's the
absolutely. I think that pretty much gives us everything we need from this video here. And we what was it, like last week or maybe even longer ago now, but we watched the video of the interview between some random internet pastor and Supreme Court Justice of the Alabama Court. What was his name? I forget his I honestly whoa, what in the heck is that sound? The fuck? Sorry, chat. Hope you're awake. Probably are now. Okay. Staying in American stuff here. This one we're going to watch at 2x because the actual point of it is really moot.
I told you we would be back with news from California, and here is news from California. This is a big deal. This is the United States Senate primary in California. I'm describing which party's primary this is, and that's because primaries aren't done by party in California anymore. No matter what party you are in, if you place as one of the top two candidates in the same primary which everybody runs, the top two candidates will advance to the general election in November. Right now, Decision Desk tells us that NBC News can project that one of the two candidates that will advance to the general election in November will be Adam Schiff, current California congressman, former chair of the Intelligence Committee, major player in Trump impeachments and investigations. Adam Schiff will be in the general election.
So yeah, Adam Schiff versus Republican Steve Garvey or whatever the hell his name is. They are the choices for California, so that's shitty because he's pretty much an establishment Democrat. Oh, good to see you. Good for Gabby. Good to see you.
Is who will be there with him, by which I mean against him. Congressman Schiff has spent campaign funds.
The margin here for Schiff of 17% of the statewide vote is now counted in California. And look at that margin for Schiff. It's almost 80,000 votes ahead of Steve Garvey. But also look at the distance between Schiff and Katie Porter. Or for that matter, Steve Garvey and Katie Porter. She's sitting there in third place at 189,000 votes. That's about 250,000 votes that Porter now lags behind Adam Schiff. You go further down, there's Barbara Lee at 78,000. She's about 350,000 votes behind Adam Schiff. It's right now the geographical breadth of that strong Schiff performance because California is such a big state.
It would have been great if Katie Porter or what's her name, Abby.
Distinct regions. But I mean,
what did you just say? Why can't I think of her name right now? I know we just said it.
California is such a big state, some very distinct regions. But I mean, just start here in Southern California. We showed you Orange County to start the night. This is where Katie, we're not sure if this is Katie Porter's, how much of Katie Porter's district is here, but her district is based in part in Orange County, and their shift leading her there, even in what should be Katie Porter's really best part of the state. And we're waiting on Los Angeles County, as you just heard from that report from Gotti. You get into shift country there potentially, but let's see, that's going to be a huge chunk of vote that comes out. But then just start working your way up the coast here. San Luis Obispo County, more than half the vote shift leads there. Garvey second. Look how far back it is to Katie Porter. Go into the Central Valley here. It's a more Republican-friendly area, but just start working your way through. You'll see Garvey leading. You'll see Schiff in second, distance to Katie Porter. Let's go to Fresno County. Garvey leading, Schiff in second, 20 points back to Katie Porter. Just working all the way through the Central Valley here, and that pattern remains. Now let's work our way into the Bay Area here. You start with Contra Costa County. 36% of the vote is in. Schiff running in first. They're a very Democratic area, but Garvey corralling what Republican vote there is far back to Katie Porter. So, a Southern California-based congressman, Adam Schiff. Now we're up into the Bay Area.
Barbara Lee,
Bay
thank
Area
you.
Congresswoman in this race, Barbara Lee.
Barbara fucking Lee, thank you. That was killing me. I was like about to start typing over here. You saved me. You saved me from typing.
Lagging far behind here. Look, Solano County, 40% Schiff, 12% Porter. There's Barbara Lee at 10%. We're waiting here, very small. We don't have anything from San Francisco County yet. That will be big in this area. We don't have anything from San Mateo County here, but you can zoom in. Look, just across from San Francisco, Marin County, very upscale area here. Schiff, big advantage. Far back to Katie Porter, though, again. So you just see this everywhere you're looking. Even when you go into the Sierra Nevadas here. You take a look at Placer County. We should get a more Republican-friendly area here, but look at the distance.
Good for Gabby, hoping for good news. Good news. Is there any good news in here? Do I have any good news? Good news. I'm like looking through it. Just one. It's barely one. It's not even really one. It's a joke one. It's a joke one. Good news. That's all I've got right now. Good for Gabby. I wish I had better for you. I really do. Okay, but anyway, the point of this
Eldorado County, the same story everywhere here, and even get to the very Republican areas in the far north of the state here. And again, you expect Garvey to do very well here, but even there, Schiff, it's distant, but Schiff second, and you just don't see the other two Democratic members of Congress. So again, now a quarter of the vote is in statewide. This lead that Schiff...
Like, just listen to the way he talks about it. Granted, I have it sped up, but, like...
Can I interrupt you, Steve? Sorry, NBC News has now made a projection as to who the second candidate will be.
Try and imagine what they remind you of, and tell me if this comparison is at all close.
Once again, we're ready for a start. They're off in the Kentucky Derby. And Summer is tomorrow at a great start and goes immediately to the early lead. Messier is away running with speed. Prime to the outside. Epicentre's going to be taken back a bit. Down toward the inside as Capo goes up outside of Turgeon. And farther out and close to the base is Cyberknife. Then comes on the outside Zozos as they reach bias for the first time. It will be Summers tomorrow to lead the way.
Like, come on. Am I wrong? Is this comparison wrong? Because that's what it feels like. It feels like CNN has just kind of become announcers for political sports these days. You know? Like, they don't really contribute too much journalism anymore. I feel like the people that I look for journalism from are people that are smaller, like Democracy Now, you know? Oh, God. What a world we live in.
Smile Happy next, and then send into the inside and right of Mario. Classic Causeway is after that, followed by Tawny Port. It's the end of the backstretch. Simplification is next, then comes Tis the Bomb. Rich Strike, O'Donoghue to the inside, and then the two trailers of the backstretch are Barber Road and Happy Jack. That opening half mile was, whoa, blazing fast.
Oh, blazing fast. Okay, alright. That was just for fun. Next one is actually another Democracy Now! Piece here from 12 hours ago. Discussing the Supreme Court ruling on leaving Trump off the ballot, which is very important, so we will not be watching it at 2x speed. Okay. Serious stuff. Let's do it.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled Monday states don't have the authority to remove Donald Trump from the ballot under the Insurrection Clause of the 14th Amendment, which was written to prevent Civil War Confederates from returning to government. In the majority opinion, justices wrote, quote, states have no power under the Constitution to enforce Section 3 with respect to federal offices, especially the presidency, end quote. Section 3 of the 14th Amendment has never been used against a presidential candidate.
Well, you heard it here, folks. Supreme Court says anarchy. Anybody can be president.
It's only been deployed 8 times since 1860s.
Steve Kornacki is funny, is weird at high speed. Totally.
Responded to the ruling by thanking the Supreme Court.
I want to start by thanking the Supreme Court for its unanimous decision today. It was a very important decision. We're very well crafted. And I think it will go a long way toward bringing our country together, which our country needs. Essentially, you cannot take somebody out of a race because an opponent would like to have it that way.
The courts.
He never misses an opportunity to either compliment or criticize things that either are good or bad for him. It's fucking hilarious. He literally never misses an opportunity. It's very well crafted. You've never seen it. You've never seen it crafted this well, folks.
3 liberal justices issued a concurring opinion warning the majority ruling attempts to insulate all alleged insurrectionists from future challenges to their holding federal office. For more, we're joined by Mark Joseph Stern, Slate senior writer covering courts and law, where his latest piece is headlined, "The Supreme Court's unanimous Trump ballot ruling is actually a 5-4 disaster." He's joining us from Washington, D.C. Welcome to Democracy Now!, Mark. Why is it a disaster?
Thank you so much for having me on.
Your take on this is different from many others.
So, this is a decision that's unanimous in name only. If you look at the separate opinions in the case, you can see easily that the court actually split 5-4 on one of the biggest questions here, which is how can the insurrection clause actually be enforced against candidates who have rebelled against the United States government? 5 conservative justices, as it happens, all 5 men on the court, reached out and grasped at this bigger question and decided that only Congress, and Congress alone, can enforce Section 3 against federal candidates, against senators, congressmen, the president, any other federal office holder, and that absent specific congressional legislation enforcing this clause, it just can't be done. The 4 women on the court did not agree with that proposition, and they faulted the majority for going way too far in deciding this case. Each of them pointed out this could have been done on far narrower grounds. The court could have unanimously decided that states can't unilaterally take candidates off the ballot under the insurrection clause, under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, but instead the majority couldn't help itself and went further. And as the 3 liberals pointed out in their separate opinion, what the majority has effectively done is insulate all oath-breaking insurrectionists, in their words, from ever being disqualified from the ballot.
Exactly.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Like, what the hell is the Supreme Court even for if they're not there to enforce the law or to at least uphold it, right? Instead, they're just shutting it all down. Like, no, that one was a joke. No, we're going to cross over the Second Amendment. That one's fine. Nah, fuck the First Amendment. But like, they're they just keep trampling over people's rights. They recently, how long ago was it that Roe happened now? I'm trying to think. Palestine has absolutely warped my brain in terms of time. What was it, like 7 months ago? It was too long. It shouldn't have even happened, but my God. It's just time after time again. It seems like the Supreme Court is planning on making this country run by oligarchs. They misinterpreted the amendment. Interesting. I don't actually have the amendment in front of me. Might have to look at that
in the future.
And how would you characterize the differences between the 3 liberal women justices on the court and Justice Amy Coney Barrett?
So, the 3 liberal justices were pretty outraged by what the majority did and included some rather indignant rhetoric. I think entirely appropriate, certainly in line with the court's usual operations. Just, again, faulting the majority for reaching out, for going way over the line and answering a question that did not need to be answered. And by the way, also doing so in quite an ambiguous way. It leaves a lot of questions open for the future that the court probably should have resolved if it was going to go this far. So their opinion really read like a dissent.
Yeah, I think Brandy Nuance here is right about that. It does feel like it was on a purposeful misreading of the amendment, in order to facilitate a opinion, right? Which is the opposite of what I think the Supreme Court's technically supposed to do, right? Like, while they have opinions and they can publish their opinions, It's supposed to be the law at the end of the day that rules things. But instead, they're like, no, we're going to reverse engineer it from this opinion. Extra hugs for anybody who wants one. I'll take one of those.
And in fact, I happened to sort of look under the hood of this file. I looked at the metadata. The Supreme Court forgot to scrub the metadata. There is an indication that this was originally styled as a dissenting opinion, and at some point, very late in the process, it was changed to a concurrence. Still reads like a dissent. Justice Amy Coney Barrett agreed with the liberals that the majority went too far, but she decided to engage in some tone policing. She said, you know, there's stridency in the liberals' opinion.
Oh,
this is
no.
a time to
Not stridency. That is terrible. It's not stridency? Ugh. That's a disaster. Oh, no. By the way, the definition of stridency is of the quality of being loud, unpleasant, and or rough in sound. Oh, my God. Unpleasant? It was an unpleasant take? Oh, Amy, to the rescue. Keep us from unpleasantness. I would point out that it's way more unpleasant for them to rule in favor of complete lawlessness than to point it out. Yeah, they've gone rogue.
The national temperature down, not up. So I'm not going to join them, and I'm not going to elaborate any further on my own disagreements because I don't want to inflame the nation any more than it already is in a presidential election year. So really a difference in style, not substance.
And in terms of the implications of this decision for those anti-Trump Americans who are looking for the legal system, either through this kind of a challenge or through the criminal cases against Donald Trump, to be able to prevent him from actually running or winning a term as president. What's your sense about that?
So I tend to agree with the three liberal justices that what the majority did here was effectively foreclose any avenue of disqualification.
Oh yeah, are you paying attention? You're paying attention, but you promise, but the guy's hairline is super far down, am I right? You are right. Now that you've pointed it out, it feels like it's attempting to make a run for his eyebrows somehow, which I thought seems crazy. How does that happen? And that's the important thing we should be focusing on right now. Everybody forget about the fact that the Supreme Court has said, no, Trump and any insurrectionists can run for president, NBD. So just forget everything he's saying, okay?
For Donald Trump, or any other person who engaged in January 6th and then runs for federal office or seeks an appointment to federal office. I think that pathway is now closed. And the reason why is because I don't think anyone seriously thinks that Congress is going to now enact some kind of special detailed legislation that creates rules and procedures and standards for disqualifying Donald Trump and other insurrectionists from the ballot. Jamie Raskin, Democratic congressman from Maryland, is working on it. There's some movement, but no one thinks it's going to clear 60 votes in the Senate. Turning to the criminal justice system, again, it's frankly unclear whether the majority thinks that Donald Trump can even be disqualified by the courts, even if he's found to have engaged in insurrection. So there's this statute that actually dates back to the 1860s that says if you are criminally convicted of an insurrection, then you are disqualified from office. That seems like it might meet the majority standard, but the majority does not say whether it actually cuts the mustard and leaves an open question, not one that's particularly relevant now because, for better or worse, Special Counsel Jack Smith did not prosecute Donald Trump under that statute for engaging in insurrection. Jack Smith made the conscious effort not to pursue that path. And so, again, I just do not see how Trump could possibly be disqualified from this or any future election.
Mark Joseph Stern, I don't know if you can answer this because it doesn't involve this particular decision, but on the issue of courts' rulings and him having to pay up, something like $600 million now from dealing with the sexual assault libel case of E. Jean Carroll, over $80 million, over $450 million in that civil case brought by the Attorney General Letitia James. What's to stop Trump from going to get foreign money like his son-in-law Jared Kushner did, getting $2 billion from the Saudi sovereign fund, going to MBS or whoever, Mohammed bin Salman, to say he needs money?
So I think the answer is the New York court system has shown more integrity in prosecuting and dealing with Trump's various civil and criminal charges than the federal system. We have seen New York judges trying really hard to uphold and apply the law. And there are restrictions in New York on who can assist a defendant in helping to post bond, but they aren't restrictions that often come into play. You know, this law under which Trump was charged civilly that he now owes $450 million under, it's not frequently used. We're sort of in uncharted waters here. And so I don't want to say definitively whether the courts would allow him to post bond with foreign money. What I will say is that Trump has a very sprawling financial network that he has repeatedly used to try to launder money, including foreign money, and sort of cleanse the dirtiness of it and then use it for his own ends. And I could very much see him doing that here. And I just have to say, I think it's very ironic that as Republicans on the Hill are scrambling to try to accuse President Biden of having some kind of foreign connection to his money, that he's going through his son to obtain dirty money from Ukraine, all of these unproved allegations, we know that Donald Trump's own son-in-law, Jared Kushner, as you noted, is obtaining dirty foreign money. And there is a very real possibility that he could help to funnel some of that money up to his father to help him get out of legal trouble.
Yeah, it is crazy to me. And the fact is it's almost easy to forget just all the crimes that are being committed by people tangential to or shady dealings being committed by people that are near to Trump, let alone all the like the charges that you have to keep up with actual Trump. Right? So it's like, oh right, yeah, even if he's not committing the crime, somebody else could do it. And it's just crazy. It is nuts. So yeah, the guy who attempted to subvert in the election, the guy who has often asked for foreign help, has money tied up overseas all over the place, who does dirty business dealings with all sorts of people, he could get back into power. He could get back into power, says the Supreme Court, because opinion, that's why. Okay. Staying in America and with the nonsense of this place, it would seem. Oh, good to see you, Mo and Noah. Good to see you. Wait, what did Brandy Nuance say here? You'll go back to obviously not anyone can run for POTUS. Our choices are the same as last time. What the actual? Yep, absolutely what the actual. 100%. Same choices as last time. But this time, one of those choices has upgraded his level of shittiness to insurrectionist, and the other one has upgraded his shittiness to genocide supporter. So it's really, it does feel like the same as last time. You're kind of right. Oh God. Fuck me. Next slide, please. Okay, this is video from Philadelphia. This is the Associated Press from 4 hours ago. 8 teens were injured in a shooting on a Philadelphia bus. So we've been keeping track of all the shootings that happened in the United States almost meticulously. Maybe not meticulously, but with some amount of fervor. And here is more of those efforts, if you will. Wait, why don't I have sound? Sound? No sound? Okay. 8 teens injured in a Philadelphia bus shooting. Philadelphia, thank you. Okay. Really? No sound?
So today, around 3 p.m., in the 7200 Rising Sun Avenue, we have juveniles or students from Northeast High School who are waiting for the bus across the street. Based on the video evidence we have so far, we see a car that's parked along the side of the Dunkin' Donuts. At some point when the bus is pulling up and the kids are converging to get on the bus, 3 individuals exit that vehicle and then discharges multiple times. At least over 30 times they fire into the kids that are getting onto the bus.
Jesus fucking Christ, that is horrifying. And the fucked up thing is that they're always, at least the people who are in favor of zero gun laws, you know, and anarchy, don't touch my Second Amendment type of people. Like, how would more guns have solved this situation? Because that's what I fucking hear from them all the time. Oh, more guns. The teachers needed guns. The students needed guns. We need to arm the students. You know? Like, what in the fuck? Is that really the plan? Because no, that's a terrible plan. We need to take guns away from people. Disarm America.
As a result of that gunfire, we now have 8 students who have been shot, ranging in the age from 15 to 17 years of age. One of the kids is in critical condition. He was shot multiple times. It is hard to sit here and see in 3 days that I have 11 juveniles shot who are going and coming from school. The cowardly acts that we've seen over the last 3 days are unacceptable. The downstream impact, when we do not address gun violence, when we do not address guns, is what we see today. And we are going to take press hard each and every day to deal with this issue as the mayor outlined.
It's just such a fucking tragedy. We have to see this literally almost every single day on this. And the thing is I might not be doing my job well enough, right? But in terms of totals, we are still at 1 mass shooting per day for 2024. We are in March, people. What is the madness that we are living under? Why? It's not actual logic. No, you're right. It's not actual logic. But that doesn't keep them from saying the things they say. Am I right? Okay. This one I'm going to come at from a slightly different angle, but it's kind of the same idea in some way. Let's go to this next video from NBC Bay Area, where a Hayward officer was injured in a crash during pursuit of burglary suspects.
All of what we've seen over the last 3 days, we're going to be ramping up our resources.
Thank you. There we go.
Hayward police are trying to figure out if an illegal marijuana grow house is at the center of an armed burglary and chase that sent an officer to the hospital. NBC Bay's Relina Jones has more on the investigation and why a nearby business owner thinks officers are missing a key piece of evidence.
Crime scene tape marks the location of a suspected marijuana grow site hit by burglars around 5:30 this morning. Hayward police say it started with calls of a burglary in progress on West Winton Avenue. As officers arrived, they saw several individuals race away, triggering a pursuit.
They fled the scene in a car and the officer tried to catch up to them. He crashed a few blocks away on Cabot Boulevard.
During the brief chase, an officer crashed into a fire hydrant and rolled the cruiser. He was treated for minor injuries at a local hospital.
Brandy Newmont. No, I certainly wasn't planning on blaming it on the pot. Well, I was actually going to blame a lot of this situation on, not that the burglary itself was the fault of the police, but this sort of, like, negligence and sort of, like, what's the word? Well, not word, but, like, you know that movie The Other Guys, right? Like, and they have those 2 officers played by, who is it? Samuel L. Jackson and The Rock, right? And they're these sort of rogue officers taking the law into their own hands, blasting shit up, fucking, you know, like, there's no reason that this guy should have been driving the car this fast or crazily in like a small area like this, right? And in no way, like, should we be training officers or treating them like they should be behaving like this. There's also more pictures here of just how many bullets got fired on the scene, and it's just crazy. Like, first off, like, that's kind of what I was saying. It's the same thing because we were talking about guns before. You know, need less guns, way less guns out there, and we need less crazy fucking cops on the street doing stupid shit like this. You know, you got to be going fast to flip a car that big. And by the way, you know, like I will bet money that vehicle, that police vehicle, cost more than whatever was stolen from this place. Not to say that you should just let criminals run around and do whatever, but my point is that trying to enforce the law and attempt to stop burglary suspects from getting away shouldn't rise to costing taxpayers more money than the actual crime. You're lurking in letter hacks chat. Oh, they're still going. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's why I started late, and that's partly why we watched that historical video today. I edited my plans slightly just because I knew there was a lot of people streaming tonight. Didn't want to step on any toes. Okay. Although it's impossible not to do it at all, unfortunately, with all the people out there streaming. But you know, you do what you can. Honestly, I don't think we need to watch any more of this. I just wanted to make this one point about that sort of just nonsense policing. Because the thing, actually, no, maybe we should watch the rest of it because now that I remember the video, it like shows, whatever, I'll just describe it to you. The rest of the video shows that the officer smashed through a fence, like a sign, and like knocked a fire hydrant off of the fucking like pipe it's like attached to by welding, I think, or some ridiculous bullshit. And like that's when he flipped the car, right? Come on, dude. Come on, have some fucking judgment. Okay. Okay, this one's still New York. Or not New York, the United States. Why did I say New York? And that last one was Bay Area. The one before it was Philly. None of those are New York. Why am I saying New York? Cut that. Okay. Next video is in America. This is about a current lawsuit that Elon Musk is filing against OpenAI.
OpenAI fired back at Elon Musk's lawsuit on Tuesday. In a blog post, the ChatGPT maker refuted Musk's claims the startup abandoned its original mission to develop artificial intelligence for the benefit of humanity and not for profit. The Microsoft-backed startup published emails with Musk, which it says reveals the billionaire entrepreneur in 2017 wanted to create a for-profit entity with OpenAI and have it merge with Tesla, using the EV maker as a cash cow. Musk then wanted majority equity, initial board control, and to be CEO of OpenAI. But OpenAI and Musk couldn't agree to the terms, as the startup felt it was against the mission for any individual to have absolute control over the firm. Musk's lawsuit last week alleged OpenAI, which he co-founded, breached its contract. He said its CEO Sam Altman and co-founder Greg Brockman originally approached him to make an open-source, non-profit company, and he alleged the startup is now, quote, focused on making money. Musk and Tesla did not immediately respond to a Reuters request for a comment on the blog. Elon Musk's lawsuit is a culmination of his long-simmering opposition to the startup.
Yeah, no, absolutely. BCat is right over here. Bottom line, no cop should be endangering other people in pursuit of a freaking burglary suspect. That's crazy. That should be considered reckless, like, neglect, in my opinion. Or negligence? Reckless negligence? Whatever it is. Wait, what would be cute? You caught the beginning. That was an eternity ago. It was like an hour ago. Hold on, though. I need to pause this for 1 second to grab my phone so I can find this page that I wanted to look at. I didn't have it bookmarked on my computer. Okay, where is it? Okay. All right, I'm back. I found the link. Took me a second. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, cool. So yeah, this is from 9 hours ago. This is an actual piece of journalism, it would seem, from CNN, rather than video journalism from them. This says, New York, CNN, OpenAI fired back at Elon Musk, who sued the ChatGPT company last week for chasing profit and diverging from its original nonprofit mission. Tuesday night, OpenAI published several of Musk's emails from the early days of the company that appear to show Musk acknowledging OpenAI needed to make a ton of money to fund the incredible computing resources needed to power its AI ambitions. In the emails, part of which have been redacted, Musk argues that the company stood virtually no chance of building a successfully generative AI platform by raising cash alone, and the company needed to find alternate sources of revenue, aka make money off of the software. In a November 22, 2015 email to CEO Sam Altman, who, Musk, an OpenAI co-founder, said the company needed to raise more money than $100 million to avoid sounding hopeless. Musk suggested a $1 billion funding commitment and promised that he would cover whatever did not get raised. OpenAI, in a blog post Tuesday night, said Musk never followed through on his promise, committing $45 million in funding for OpenAI, while other donors raised $90. Lawyers for Musk declined to comment on OpenAI's claims. No kidding, because he's running out of cash, because he's tanking money in a epic fashion right now. Okay, Musk. I think that basically sums up what I wanted to cover on it. That Musk is basically trying to pull another Twitter situation where he said he would commit a bunch of money, and then he didn't, and now people are kind of like, well, you might owe us that money. And it's kind of funny to watch. Just a little bit. Okay, alright. Enough reveling in Elon Musk being a twit. Ah, he's a twit. That is a happy accident. This isn't a letter hack raid. My door is fine. No property damage. My civil rights aren't violated. You're just here. That's good. Well, it's good to see you, Pitchforks. Good to see you. Okay. Yes. Okay, so we've been actually covering this. I think we might have done a story yesterday and then another one 2 days ago on the sort of developing conflict happening in Haiti right now between groups versus the government, essentially. And this is a take from, man, how many Democracy Now! Videos are on my playlist today? Is this a third one already? My God. Thank you, Democracy Now! For doing good reporting. By the way, if you're for some reason not subscribed to them, I'd be shocked to hear that, but definitely go hit up their channel. Alright, next one. Let's go to it. This is on Haiti.
The same, or the distinctions between them?
No, don't start in the middle of it. No. Okay. Fixed it.
We begin today's show in Haiti, where Port-au-Prince's international airport is reportedly under siege by armed gangs as Haiti is under a state of emergency. Tens of thousands have been displaced across the Haitian capital as they flee rising violence.
The armed gangs forced us to leave our homes. They destroyed our houses, and we're on the streets.
Over the weekend, Haiti's powerful gangs freed thousands from Haiti's largest prisons. The gang federation leader known as Barbecue claimed responsibility and is calling for the ousting killing of unelected Prime Minister Ariel Henry. Gang members are reportedly uniting to bring down Haiti's de facto Prime Minister Henry, who's yet to return to Haiti since he traveled to Kenya last week to discuss a deal to send about 1,000 Kenyan police to lead a UN peacekeeping force. The Kenyan High Court in January ruled the plan unconstitutional. For more, we're joined by three guests. In Nairobi, Otiende Omolo is a Kenyan parliamentarian who opposes the police deployment to Haiti. In Washington, D.C., Jake Johnston is with us. He runs Haiti Relief and Reconstruction Watch blog for the Center for Economic and Policy Research, author of the new book, Aid State, Elite Panic, Disaster Capitalism, and the Battle to Control Haiti. But first, we go to Port-au-Prince, Haiti's capital, to speak with Monique Kleska, a Haitian pro-democracy advocate who worked for many years with UNICEF and the United Nations overall, worked there for 15 years. We welcome you back to Democracy Now!, Monique Kleska. Can you talk about what's happening on the ground as the images we see are the airport overrun and in the streets of Port-au-Prince, people fleeing for their lives?
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. It is a desolation that we are feeling. It is a terror that we are living, and it's horrifying what we are going through. Since last Thursday, there has been an assault on different neighborhoods, different areas, and state institutions. And yesterday was the big assault then on the airport. So people cannot travel, people are scared, people cannot go to work. And on Saturday night, it was the jail. There was a massive assault on the Port-au-Prince jail, and there are about 4,000 prisoners who are out in the streets somewhere, and among them, presumed rapists, murderers, kidnappers, etc. So we are terrorized. We're terrorized in our homes. But what I want to say is that, and it's important to say that, we have been terrorized for the last 30 months of Ariel Henry's government. There have been more massacres under Ariel Henry than there were under Jovenel Moïse that had 13 massacres. So we have been in a state of terror, horror. Our people are dying, our sisters are being raped, our children are going to sleep hungry for the last 30 months or more. So we are under a regime of bandits, bandits in ties, bandits in shorts. But bottom line, we are hostages of about maybe 3,000 men who are running the country either in gangs with ties or in white shirts or in gangs in the slum areas, roaming the streets and terrifying us. That is the situation we are living.
Yeah, and I think we've kind of brushed on some of that in previous streams regarding the assassination of Jovenel Moïse and the replacement of him by Ariel Henry. Whoa, that's a long message. Did you know climate doomers are a thing? Because like we discussed earlier, it's so much worse than most of them think. And also hard to make that something to talk about for episodes. Is that a comment on the Doomer report? Is that what's happening?
Right now in Haiti. And let's be clear, the Biden administration has its hands in the bloodshed because we, at least from the Montana Accord, have been saying since August 2021, 2.5 years ago, that this must stop. We have an alternative solution. We must get those criminals out of offices. We must get those criminals out. So the Biden administration is paying the price because there is no doubt in my mind that they bear a huge responsibility along with the UN.
Oh, it's not a comment. I mean, that's good. That's good.
With France, along with Canada. But the Biden administration has its knee on our necks because we would not be here if they had listened to us Haitians who have said for a long time, this is unacceptable. This criminal regime is unacceptable to us Haitians. Throughout Haiti, Haitians have demonstrated and said Ariel Henry must go. So he can stay in Kenya, he can stay in Washington, wherever he is, he can stay there. But we need new blood in the governance system of Haiti. We need visionaries, men and women who can provide for Haitians.
Monique Glasscott, you focus.
And just in case anybody missed it, she is a Haitian pro-democracy advocate, so she would seem to be a sort of person to trust on this sort of matter, one would think.
You said on the criminals in white suits or in white shirts, but the focus in this in most of the media coverage about Haiti here in the United States is on the gangs in the street. Are all these gangs the same, or are there distinctions between them? Because some people claim that some are more political than some of the other gangs, especially, for instance, this Jimmy Cherizet and his group. How do you regard this situation on the street with these gangs?
I am here to say that the government, coming from, there are UN reports that have said that the former president of Haiti actually formed the gang and armed gangs. So since 2011, it has been a criminal regime that has armed the gangs. And now perhaps the gangs have felt stronger and they are going about in their, whatever it is, their criminal business. But the point I am making is the government, people in power, president, prime ministers, ministers. There is even a document from the Yale Law School Clinic and human rights organization in Haiti that said it's a crime against humanity under Jovenel Moïse, the massacre in La Saline, where 71 people were killed. So we are talking about a construct. This is not something that happened out of the blue. These government officers, as well as prime minister, president, and some economic oligarchs, have financed the gangs, they have armed the gangs, they have given them even contracts to distribute food in neighborhoods, etc. So we must be clear that the gangs have been instrumentalized in the past, created, armed to terrorize us so that they could keep power. So now the gangs have gained their independence and maybe they have their political whatever. But I think the main culprit here is government that started to finance them, senators. A lot of them are under sanction for arming the gangs or for giving them money. A lot of the huge economic players.
It's a great point. I'm struggling to interrupt her because, like, my knowledge on Haiti politics aren't always current, but she's reminding me of the fact that Jovenel Moïse was criticized for being corrupt during his time as well, which supposedly was part of why they were able to find people in Haiti to help with the assassination attempts. Good to see Morbius Dragon in chat, Latino Mafune. Now we got 2 dragons in chat. It's become the Dragon Chat. Okay. I'm going to continue listening to her for a bit here for sure.
In Haiti are also under sanction. Even a bank director is under sanction, even though it is not the United Nations sanctions. So let's be clear about this. There is no doubt in my mind about this, that the gangs with white shirts or whatever shirts and ties are also extremely involved, not only involved, but responsible for this. And the United States knows this. We have told this to Assistant Secretary Brian Nichols. We have told this to Barbara Feinstein at the State Department. We have told this to Dan Erickson, who is now at the White House. We have told this. The Biden administration knows this, that it is a criminal regime, that it is financing, that it is support.
I don't think she what's the word? I don't think she insinuated this at all during this interview. but I'm gonna do it a little bit, because during the time when this assassination attempt was going on and after it, there was a lot of speculation. Some of the people that were arrested were, it's not even really speculation actually. Now that I'm thinking back to this, a lot of the people that were arrested were either very, very poor Haitians or Americans who worked for military contractors. And there was a lot of speculation that America was fully involved in regime changing here. Because I believe, if I recall correctly, Jovenel Moïse, while he was still corrupt and cracked down on dissent in Haiti, and I think she's definitely brought that up multiple times during this interview, but he was less apt to work with the American government, if I'm recalling things correctly. This is all just from memory right now, so please, if you want more information on that, definitely check it. Hopefully more will be covered. Definitely more is covered in this video, but oh wow, look at all the great people showing up. Bella Lagrisi, good to see you. Natchkit, how do you say that? I think I'm saying that right. Ponzi coin. I think it's the first time I'm seeing either Natchkit or Ponzi coin in here. Could be wrong.
That it is helping to kill us. And we say it's enough. We need new leadership in Haiti. We need different governance that respects our human rights. This is unattainable. This is unbelievable. It is inadmissible. We do not want this, and we are into resistance mode. We are saying no. We do not want this, and the Biden administration will pay for some of this because there are 1.5 million Haitian in the United States, and they are beginning to threaten not to vote for Biden. So vote elections are...
Oh, chat, how I love you all. You're all so funny and full of great quips and takes. Something about this late-stage capitalist dystopian hellscape gives me trouble sleeping. It's also good. Same stream? Yeah, of course. Same stream. Same stream, AC. Good to see you back. I've only been going for a short while today, I think. What is it? 2 hours now? Not even 2 hours. We've only been going an hour and a half. This is a burgeoning day.
By a few thousand votes. So 1.5 million Haitians, that means a lot. They must reverse course. They must.
Yeah, I'd like to bring in Jake Johnston, also the author of the new book, Aid State, Elite Panic, Disaster Capitalism and the Battle to Control Haiti. Welcome, Jake Johnston. Your assessment of the situation right now in Haiti and the steps that need to be taken to restore some sense of safety to the population and an actual functioning government?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I mean, I think when we look at Haiti, we have to understand some of the roots of what we're seeing today. And at the heart of this is a broken social contract, a state that is no longer representative of or accountable to the population. And that has created the dynamics, the broader...
Wait, Jake tried to raid the old link? I thought I deleted that. Oh my god. Well, Jake, if you're hearing this right now, maybe I should hit him up later. That's too funny. I thought I deleted that. That's my bad. He raided the old link. I still haven't been able to make my streaming software stream directly to my like upcoming link for whatever reason. It's very annoying. I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually.
Situation that has allowed this situation to spiral the way it has.
Yeah, dang. Biden's getting old quick. He's 58. He'll be well over 100 soon enough. Hold on, I gotta back this up because my tea was ready and I kind of was a little distracted.
Government?
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I mean, I think when we look at Haiti, we have to understand some of the roots of what we're seeing today. And at the heart of this is a broken social contract, a state that is no longer representative of or accountable to the population. And that has created the dynamics, the broader situation that has allowed this situation to spiral the way it has. And so when you look at how to address that, you have to start there. And I'd echo Monique's calls to focus on the political environment, right? We can't divorce insecurity from the political environment.
Exactly.
And you look at what's happening now. I mean, this doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? The armed groups don't seize control, don't take this without at least some willingness or abandonment on the part of police hierarchy and government authorities. And so to begin with, there has to be an acceptance of responsibility. I think one of the most shocking things over the last 4 or 5 days has been the absolute total silence from the government, right? Ariel Henry is not even in the country. The state of emergency was announced by the Minister of Finance in a press release. And so there's really just, again, a total abandonment on the part of state authorities. And like Monique said, this is not a crisis entirely created in Haiti or by Haitians, right? We have to understand that this has been a long time coming, and it's been a process stoked and perpetuated by the international community, and namely the United States. We could go back to Haiti.
Okay. I think that's about all that I think we need on this subject. If you want more, definitely go to Democracy Now!, watch the rest of that video. And I think they've had plenty of videos over the years covering the Haiti conflict, so you can really educate yourself on this tonight, but we only have so much time. Oh, it was good seeing you, Brandy Nuance. Good night. But yes, I basically set up that Biden age command for you to abuse it. 5 seconds. Make Biden as old as you want him to be, or however old he feels to you. That is the point. Okay, what am I doing next here? Okay, we're sticking with the same thing momentarily. Whoa, why is that? What is happening? Somehow a computer window showed up outside. That doesn't make sense. That's crazy. Anyway, this next video is from, who is it, CNN? AP. So remember, AP is still like a corporate news place, okay? So oftentimes they still have a slant to the way that they report. So let's listen to them on this exact same conflict and see if we hear any differences in the way that they frame it. Oh, I gotta read. Wait. Gotta turn this volume down a little bit. Maybe it's easier over here. Yeah, okay. Gang leader Jimmy Cherizier has doubled down on his threats against Haitian Prime Minister Ariel Henry. We'll fight Ariel Henry until the last drop of blood. We'll fight until he resigns. I am ready to make an alliance with the devil, ready to sleep in the same bed as the devil. Haiti has plunged into chaos while Henry was on a mission in Kenya to seek international help to battle gang violence. Henry has landed in Puerto Rico as he tries to return to Haiti to quell a surge in violent gang attacks. Earlier, gangs tried to take over control of Haiti's Toussaint Louverture International Airport, prompting some countries to cancel flights to Haiti.
Absolutely catastrophic. It being the human rights situation, the humanitarian situation, the lack of any kind of political anything, discussions, negotiations. There needs to be an international force of some shape, size, and form, because the Haitian National Police is not powerful enough to take on the gangs themselves.
So if you're hearing that, this guy's saying the exact opposite of, what was her name? The first speaker from Haiti. I don't remember her name, unfortunately. I'd have to go back and look at it. But she was the Democratic advocate, and she was saying, no, don't send Kenyan police. But instead, AP brings this guy on to say the exact opposite. So, yep, not shocking, but real life. You sent me some links. Okay. I will try and check those links. But in the meantime, what do we have next here? Okay. This is following a story that we looked at earlier. I had a interview, was it 4 or 5 days ago, I think, with the head spokesperson of the orcas. And this is a video that I just saw pass by me a couple
One of Haiti's
couple
most
hours
powerful
ago.
gang leaders.
No, go. Okay.
And now to the rare wildlife moment.
Oh, good night, AC. Looks like AC is going to bed. It was good to see you. Don't send the U.S., France, or Dominicans. Yeah. Okay. This is some shocking footage, people. And it looks like we haven't done our part as the orcas are turning their attention to the entire oceans. If you're at all squeamish about violence, well, turn your head away. Turn your head away
Caught
now.
on camera. Watch this video of an orca taking down a great white shark. Scientists
God.
believe it's the first time a single orca was recorded killing one of the ocean's most feared predators. Janae Norman has that story.
It's the jaw-dropping image of Jaws, a great white shark going from predator to prey. That's Sophia, a
Well, you see it, folks. The terrifying images in front of you. I haven't yet spoken to the orcas since seeing this video, but I would say, in my estimation, this is a message to us humans. You think that you're hot shit? Guess what? Great white shark, suck it. This is a message, folks. Do not lie to yourself. This is serious. The orcas are uprising, and if we don't do something to save the seas, they will destroy them for us. And as we spoke about during my interview with the orca, they told us that we have 2 things that we need to do. Stop overfishing and stop polluting the seas. And they will stop their violent reign of terror. Do not go in the ocean. Yeah, exactly. Monope gets it. Monope, yep. Do not go. Bad things will happen. Okay. All right, on to serious things again. But sticking with ocean-related stuff, this is something that I saw. This showed up 2 hours ago on my feed. So literally before I started streaming, this is a video from CNN showing a confrontation between Chinese boats and a Philippine boat.
Happened in the South China Sea.
Whoops.
Violent confrontation
Whoopsies.
captured by Ivan Watson, who was with the fleet for 48 hours. And you can see China's ships become aggressive. They swarm and they harass the U.S. allied ship, blasting water cannons that were so powerful that the windows shattered. Well, the Pentagon tonight responding, calling China's behavior reckless and saying that the United States will act if China continues. Ivan Watson is out front with this exclusive U.S. television report.
Water cannons and the collision of heavy ships.
This is China Coast Guard.
CNN getting a rare chance to witness the David and Goliath confrontation between the Philippines and China in the South China Sea.
We are going to curtail your behavior.
The Chinese ships make their move at dawn.
Oh God, you're afraid of the ocean because you almost drowned in it when you were little? That's terrible, Morbius. I'm sorry to hear that. Glad it didn't get you. Good to see you, my dogs. Incredibly based orca. Team Comrade Orca. Yep, everybody gets it, it seems. Anyway, I didn't really want to cover this for very much, just to get the general gist of it. I'm not here to, what's the word? China bait you or no. Like, to be, like, fear-mongering about China. But this kind of stuff is unacceptable. And, you know, you got to draw a line somewhere. Have clearly crossed a line by doing this sort of stuff. And it's not the first time they've been doing this as they contest the waters outside of the Philippines. Oh, whoops. I didn't mean to do that, though. We're going to watch a little bit more of it, and then we'll move on.
And swarming a small convoy from the Philippines. We have a very good view of a large Chinese Coast Guard ship. You can see it written on the side of the vessel, and it is currently steaming, I would say maybe 2 stone throws away from this Philippines Coast Guard ship. And that's not all. Look over to the starboard side here. There is another Chinese Coast Guard ship right here. Not far away, another Chinese ship collides with another Philippine ship. Fortunately, no one's hurt.
You are sailing within the Philippine Exclusive Economic Zone. What is your intention? Over.
I'm aboard the BRP Cabra, a Philippine Coast Guard ship. Its mission...
Yeah, geopolitics matters. Thank you. At least we can laugh together. Yes, it does matter. Unfortunately, it's often difficult to get good coverage of geopolitical matters that aren't incredibly biased or lacking detail or in a different language. So, you know, and or like most of them aren't lacking complexity either, but I still delve into them for whatever reason.
Escort 2 resupply boats to the Second Thomas Shoal, a teardrop-shaped reef claimed by both the Philippines and China, even though it's clearly much closer to Philippines.
Yeah, it's definitely a little closer. And I did some research on it, and supposedly the distance from here, the Second Thomas Shoal, to the shoreline of China is 500 miles. So, and I believe it actually might be from here they're measuring. It's 500 miles, so over there it's even further. Yeah, I would point out that, you know, while China may not be what many media organizations will make them out to be, this is ridiculous. It's a huge overreach. From my understanding, territorial waters extend 12 miles from the furthest point of land, effectively. And so, yeah, you can't just say 500 miles from here. But the fact is that I get where their inspiration comes from, right? Because they're just looking to former Western colonial decisions and saying, well, why can't we do this now? But we're supposed to be moving forward and not backwards. So I would personally say, not cool, China. Not cool. Chill the fuck out. Okay. You got a jellyfish wrap itself around your lower arm when you did a cartwheel in the low tide? Oh God. That sounds terrifying. I actually once almost got taken under by undertow, but my godfather happened to grab me by the arm and pull me out. It was actually one of the more terrifying moments of my life. I was quite young. Not the most terrifying, though, and that's for sure. But it was scary as fuck, especially like as a tiny person. I think I must have been like 6 or 7. It's like a tiny little person, trying to overcome the entire ocean in a moment and being like, "Oh shit, that's not working out." Nope. And it was. The ocean is scary. Not just based whales out there. There's other shit. Not to fearmonger about the ocean either, because the ocean's beautiful and fun. You just gotta be safe. There's an uncanny valley between what experts know about these subjects and what states and corporations cherry pick to tell the public. No, 100%. 100%. And that's the struggle. And I try and get it done every 24 hours, seemingly. And I do my best.
Israel's war on Gaza has displaced nearly 2 million Palestinians. A majority of them
I
are
forgot.
sheltering in the city of Rafah.
I forgot. That was my bad. I should have. I always talk about the video before it starts. That was totally my fault. This is an Al Jazeera video entitled Transfer: The Investigation of Israel's Displacement of the Palestinians. A People in Power documentary. We're not going to watch the whole thing, but it does include some very fascinating and enlightening. Well, I don't know if it's enlightening to everybody, but I do find it to be very relevant.
In the south. Now, with the threat of an Israeli ground offensive on the area and calls by its politicians to permanently expel Palestinians from the Strip, fears are growing of yet another forced population transfer. People in Power investigates.
Probably gonna get copyright struck for this music. Talkie, don't copyright me, don't copyright me. It's gonna happen. It's gonna fucking happen, I already know it. Even with my singing. My terrible singing, I would point out.
We should create a humanitarian problem that will force Egypt and Turkey and Europe to absorb the Arabs as refugees.
The purpose of the Zionist project was the erasure of the Palestinian people.
I heard this recently, and I could be wrong, and the people who could have said this could have been wrong. So double check this if you like. I'd encourage you to. But in response to what Gabby has said here, I heard recently that peeing on it doesn't actually help, and you're just peeing on somebody for no good reason. And unless that's your thing, I guess I would avoid it. So that's just me. But definitely look it up if you think that I'm wrong. But I heard this very recently, and I'd always thought it was true forever, like literally forever.
The methodology was mostly expulsion, intimidation, and massacres.
לא, מה שיכול וצריך לקדם זה תוכנית הגירה, עידוד מרצון כמובן, שיאפשר להם ללכת.
بقول لك احنا ارضنا غزه وبدنا نرجع لها بدناش نروح على سينا.
يا الله يا الله يا الله.
Since October 7th, 2023, about 2 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip have had to flee for their lives to escape death and destruction, which has followed them even in areas they've been told are safe zones.
دمار كامل دمار كامل.
Israel's war on Gaza has wrought an unprecedented humanitarian disaster. Pushed to and cornered in Rafah through air and land assaults by the Israeli army, Gazans fear the worst. People in Power set out to investigate if population transfer of the Palestinians in Gaza and the occupied West Bank is Israel's ultimate goal. As of February 21st, 2024, close to 30,000 Palestinians have been killed by the Israeli army and more than 60,000 wounded and maimed. Thousands more.
I just realized I didn't post my link in a single Discord because I was just checking I was checking the channel over here because AC was saying he had a bunch of stories for me to look at. Oh my god, that's a lot of stories, man. Wow. Oh, yeah. Oh, and I was gonna look at this and I didn't. Oh my god. I saw this somewhere. 2 things. Oh, son of a bitch. Maybe we'll hit them at the up at the end. Yes, no, there's a lot of what's it called? A lot of jellyfish talk in chat right now, I noticed. Love you guys. Love you guys. Alright. Back to this
are missing.
Harrowing documentary.
Under the rubble.
Israel's real aim is clear, is to empty the land of Palestinians.
Marwan al-Ashir, Jordan's former foreign minister and once ambassador to both Washington and Tel Aviv, has long been involved in Arab-Israeli relations.
Israel is obliterating all forms of life in Gaza, not just human life, but the infrastructure, the schools, the places of worship, the hospitals, in a clear attempt to make Gaza uninhabitable so that Palestinians are forced to leave.
Jordan has taken the lead in warning the world about the dangers of large-scale population transfers of Palestinians.
I think on the first part of the question on the issues of refugees coming to Jordan, and I think I can quite strongly speak on behalf not only of Jordan as a nation, but of our friends in Egypt, that is a red line. Because I think that is the plan by certain of the usual suspects to try and create de facto issues on the ground. No refugees in
also
Jordan,
known as ethnic
no
cleansing
in Egypt.
A lot of people in the West look at this and say, how can people not allow Palestinians to get in? But in fact, this is a position coordinated with the Palestinians themselves, who have learned the lesson from 1948, who do not wish to leave. And so the decision to close the border is actually a decision not to allow Israel to solve the conflict at the...
Yeah. Yeah. All right, that's what I wanted to catch in that. Just pretty standard stuff that we've been looking at lately, I feel, but it's not at all standard. And it feels weird saying it like that because it feels like it's, just by using that word, I feel like it's been normalized in my head. And that grosses me out. Because that is not normal. That's a huge fucking problem. Remind you of a story Joey Diaz told to Joe Rogan about someone in front of a club asking for someone to pee on them? Does it? I feel like my brain is mostly devoid of Joe Rogan clips because I've watched so few of them over the years, but man, some of them are truly incredible. Wait, what's happening? A real monster? Oh, it's terrible. Oh, into the ocean? You don't just throw a child into the ocean. Maybe a pool. Like, that's what happened to me as a kid. Like, you can retrieve a child from the pool, no problem. NBD. And not that it's not a little fucked up, but the ocean? That's a bad plan. That's just a terrible plan. That's cruelty. I am sorry to hear that you experienced that. Don't mean to laugh. Okay. Well, this next one's real quick. It's going to kind of not really cleanse our palate, but it's going to sort of be sandwiched between these two videos. This next one is, I don't know if you've seen it already, but this is footage obtained by Al Jazeera.
This is Democracy Now! Democracy
Whoa.
Now!
Hey, what are you doing? The flip? The flip. Oh, it's because I have to accept the fact that it's, yeah, I accept and I wish to proceed. Stop that. Okay. Alright, I solved it. But yes, this is Israeli drone footage that was obtained by Al Jazeera. I'm not sure if everybody's seen this yet, but it's pretty disturbing. So, just a forewarning.
إلى منطقة أشباح شوارع فارغة إلا من الجثث. لكن جنود إسرائيل استطاعوا قتل هذا الحمار أكثر من مرة بتكرار إطلاق النار عليه. كل تلك المشاهد حصلت عليها الجزيرة وكانت قد وثقتها طائرة مسيرة تابعة للجيش الإسرائيلي. يحاول الجميع الهروب من رصاص الجيش، مصائر مجهولة وجثث بلا ملامح. هذه الصور أيضا من مسيرة للجيش الإسرائيلي عمليات اعتقال فلسطينيين من مستشفى العودة بتل الزعتر. تشير تقديرات البحث الذي
I just realized that my mic wasn't working just now. It's okay. We don't need to watch these atrocities again. Just, yeah. I'm just going to keep watching this for now.
أنها كانت في الأسبوع الأول من شهر ديسمبر. هذا يعني أن هؤلاء المعتقلين كانوا على هذا الحال في درجة حرارة لم تصل إلى 25 درجة مئوية. تتوافق هذه الصور في محيط مستشفى العودة مع مقابلة أجراها مراسل الجزيرة الذي رصد المنطقة بعد انسحاب الجيش يوم 23 من الشهر نفسه.
Yeah, that's just horrible. Okay. Wait, what the fuck? Hold on, something just happened. I just somehow switched out of my playlist. I gotta go back. Oh. Good night, Iraq. It was good. It was good seeing you. How is it that this pulled me out of the playlist? It's in my playlist. It makes no sense. Makes no fucking sense. Okay. This is a Democracy Now! Video. This is from just a few days ago. And this is their interview with The Intercept. New York Times expose lacks evidence to claim Hamas weaponized sexual violence on October 7th. This is going to be with Ryan Grimm and Jeremy Scahill. So many of you may be familiar with them. I believe they just did like an interview on Hassan's show, which was on the exact same thing. But I prefer to give Democracy Now! The views than Hassan. He's got enough views.
democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The New York Times is reportedly conducting an internal investigation to identify the source behind leaked information about its coverage of Israel and Gaza. According to Vanity Fair, the internal investigation follows a report in The Intercept about the Times shelving an episode of its podcast, The Daily, over doubts regarding the accuracy of a highly controversial blockbuster New York Times article published at the end of December, alleging Hamas members committed widespread sexual violence, weaponized it on October 7th. Vanity Fair reports that in recent weeks, management of the New York Times have questioned at least 24 staffers, including producers of The Daily, the podcast, in an attempt to understand how internal details about the podcast's editorial process got out. Democracy Now! Asked the New York Times about the internal investigation. The paper's international editor, Phil Pan, said in a statement, quote, "We aren't going to comment on internal matters. I can tell you the work of our newsroom requires trust and collaboration, and we..."
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Hard journalism does need to be more part of people's diets. It's kind of... I feel like it's what I live on these days. I have for quite some time. Man, I gotta delete that link because people keep going into the other... going into the old link for some reason, so I gotta deal with that.
Expect all of our colleagues to adhere to these values, end quote. The New York Times article at the center of the controversy was published December 28th. It was headlined, "Screams Without Words, How Hamas Weaponized Sexual Violence on October 7th. In it, the Times reported they had found evidence of systematic sexual violence orchestrated by Hamas, and that their 2-month investigation, quote, uncovered painful new details establishing that the attacks against women were not isolated events, but part of a broader pattern of gender-based violence, October 7th, unquote. However, not long after the highly publicized article was published, major discrepancies began to emerge, including public comments from the family of a major subject of the article, contradictory claims from a key witness, and criticisms over a lack of solid evidence in the overall investigation. Then news emerged last week that one of the 3 authors of the New York Times piece, named Anat Schwartz, had liked multiple posts on social media advocating for violence against Palestinians, including one that called for turning Gaza into a slaughterhouse. Anat Schwartz is an Israeli filmmaker who had no prior reporting experience before she was assigned by the Times to work on the major investigation, along with Adam Sella and veteran Times reporter.
So one of the biggest investigations of the year, they get a non-reporter. That Okay, interesting journalistic practices.
Jeffrey Gettleman. On Wednesday, The Intercept published another in-depth investigation that further questions the Times article and the reporting process behind it. It's headlined Between the Hammer and the Anvil, the story behind the New York Times October 7th expose. And the two Intercept reporters who wrote it join us today. Jeremy Scahill is a senior reporter and correspondent at The Intercept. He's joining us from Germany. And Ryan Grimm is The Intercept's bureau chief in Washington, D.C., where he joins us from. We welcome you both to Democracy Now! Jeremy, let's begin with you. Can you lay out first the significance of the New York Times article that's at the center of the controversy, and then talk about your latest piece that looks into how it all came about?
Well, Amy, in early December, you had the death toll skyrocketing in Gaza. You had a number of nations, including those that are allies with Israel, starting to speak out about the death toll among...
Yeah, this is the grim debunking, BCAT, if you will. Debunking is a bit of a, what do you call it? An interesting word to use here, but yeah, pretty much.
Women, children, the elderly. And part of a pattern of what we've seen throughout the course of these 5 months of scorched earth attacks against Gaza is that whenever Israel perceives itself to be losing the narrative war, or when it needs to remind the public of its perception that Israel is the only victim in this story, they unload a new round of attacks against a variety of individuals or organizations that are working in Gaza or living in Gaza, human beings. We saw that with the attacks against UNRWA. We saw that with the attacks against Al-Shifa and other hospitals. And in early December, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his government really began an intense propaganda campaign to convince the world that Hamas had engaged in a systematic campaign of rape aimed at Jewish women and girls. And then they launched this fake criticism of feminist organizations, saying that they had all systematically failed to stand up and denounce this systematic rape regime that had been intentionally implemented by Hamas in the October 7th attacks. And on the day that Netanyahu made his most prominent statement about this, President Biden was at a fundraising event in Boston, and he made a statement.
Wait, what's going on? There's so many jellyfish stories. Remember that Rogan has more in common with Howard Stern than the intellectually curious conversationalist he tries to posture as. Oh, that's fair. Wait, what's the other... Wait. That's just what the others said? You haven't read the article yet? Wait, which article? Oh, you're talking about their article from The Intercept.
At his speech that echoed what Netanyahu said and said the world, can't turn away and ignore this. Well, what was happening at that very moment was that the New York Times, with one of its most prominent international correspondents, Jeffrey Gettleman, he had recently hit the ground in Israel, and he was working. Gettleman enlisted the help of two individuals that were going to work with him there, and Gettleman had proposed 3 lines of investigation, and one of them was the issue of sexual violence. And the 2 individuals that Gettleman was working with, one of them is a very young person who's only recently gotten into journalism, Adam Sella, and he had mostly been like a food journalist and has a background in looking at agricultural issues, etc. He had started to write some freelance pieces that were dipping into the waters of politics and the conflict, but a quite inexperienced reporter. And then the other was someone with no reporting experience outside of making some documentary films, and that is Anat Schwartz. It's unclear how Anat Schwartz in particular got involved with this project. And as you mentioned, she had early on in the Israeli attacks against Gaza liked a tweet that actually was cited by the International Court of Justice as a statement of potential genocidal incitement. She also liked a tweet from the Israeli government promoting the debunked allegation that 40 babies had been beheaded on October 7th, which is entirely false, as well as another tweet that said we must just refer to Hamas as ISIS. And so they start off on this investigation, and our understanding from sources is that the overwhelming majority of the interviews and reporting that was being done on the ground was being handled by Anat Schwartz and Adam Sella. And we discovered a podcast interview with Anat Schwartz in Hebrew that she gave, where it's a shocking podcast in how much detail she offers about the process that they used when they were reporting it. And just to put it in a nutshell, she describes how the first thing that she did was start to call around to what she describes as all of the Israeli hospitals that have facilities that are called Room 4 facilities. These would be the intake places where people who have been victims of sexual crimes, including assault and rape, etc., where they would be examined or their cases would be referred. And she said that not a single one of them reported that they had any reports of sexual assault or rape on October 7th.
Okay, just going to pause that for a second to try and respond to chat. There's a bunch of stuff that's happened, but I struggle to pause when he's talking about something as serious as this when I don't have anything important to say. But he had at least gotten through a point, and that seemed like the best possible opportunity. Good to see you, Snicks. Obsolete Optics. I think I said hello to you, but if I didn't, hello again. Oh, you're already dropped, kicking people out the airlock. Well done. Latino Afune. I am actually not familiar with Bianca Graulau, if that's how you pronounce that properly. But I just Googled her, and from the very, very brief look at her, I'm interested. So I may check that out. Excuse me, I may check her out later when I have a moment to breathe and look at things such as that. So I appreciate the question, as it may prompt later content.
She then started calling around to Rape Crisis Hotline and describes how she had this, what she described as an intense conversation with the manager of the Rape Crisis Hotline in that part of Israel, where she was dumbfounded when he was saying he didn't have any calls reporting sexual assault or rape. And she's saying, how is this possible? And then she starts talking, she goes to a holistic therapeutic center that was established at a former high-end retreat center outside of Tel Aviv, where mostly people from the Nova rave, where there were attacks and where a couple of hundred people were killed. It was a place where people could do alternative medicine and yoga, relaxation therapy. I mean, people who were highly traumatized. And she goes there, and her characterization was that she sensed what she called a conspiracy of silence among the therapists, because none of them were telling her, yes, we're treating people who were raped or had experienced sexual assault. And so when she went through all the official channels, the places where you would reach out to see if you're exploring if there's a pattern here, what then happened is she starts to look at who's been interviewed about alleged rapes during the October 7th attacks, and ends up then going and re-interviewing a handful of people who already had made assertions that they witnessed rapes. And some of these people had told varying versions of their stories, which in and of itself is not necessarily mean that they didn't witness something. I mean, these are people that were in the midst of an incredibly violent episode. But more central to that is that some of the people that the New York Times relied on to assert that there was a systematic, intentional campaign of rape weaponized by Hamas were people that have no forensic credentials, no crime scene credentials. These were people that are not legally permitted in Israel to determine rape, that they relied on these individuals to make this claim that there was a systematic rape regime implemented. And some of those people, Amy, have well-documented track records of promoting very incendiary narratives about atrocities that occurred on October 7th that were flagrantly false. Just two examples. One of the most prominent or ubiquitous figures that has emerged in Israel's narrative that Hamas committed systematic rape is an architect from New Jersey named Sherry Mendez, who is living in...
The thing about this that is so baffling to me is that we've heard everyone from people such as like Alan Dershowitz all the way up to IDF members and including Benjamin Netanyahu, if I'm not mistaken, making this claim. And it's not like I want to play down these sorts of things at all, but the fact is that if you're going to make such a claim, use it as a weapon, essentially, which is funny, it's the title of this fucking video. But yeah, if you want to use that as a cudgel to ethnically genocide a people, it's just you got to have something to back it up with. A lot of stuff in chat. It takes you 2 hours to think. That happens to the best of us.
Israel now, and is a member of the Israeli Defense Forces rabbinical unit. And she was deployed to prepare women's bodies for burial in the bases where Hamas attacked military facilities. And she's been quoted widely saying that they saw widespread evidence of rape, and that she personally saw it. She described broken pelvises, not just among soldiers, but among grandmothers and children. But Sherry Mendez also was quoted by the Daily Mail as saying that a pregnant woman had a fetus cut out of her body and that the fetus was beheaded and then the mother was beheaded. This is entirely false. We've gone through all of the official records that Israel has put out on people who died that day. There was no pregnant woman killed that day. That's been thoroughly debunked. She also relied on Yossi Landau, a senior official at Zaka. Zaka has been, it's an ultra-Orthodox private rescue organization. It's been exposed by Haaretz, the newspaper in Israel, as one of the leading promoters of false information, and also that they contaminated the crime scenes by moving evidence around that actual professionals could have done. They also have promoted the beheaded baby stories, etc. So the New York Times, they can't find anyone who works in the rape crisis centers at the hospitals, among therapists, that are coming forward and saying, yeah, we saw this, or we have documentation of this. So they go to people who already were known to have promoted false information, and then they start relying on their testimony to paint this tapestry, this notion that there was a systematic rape regime. And in the New York Times article, they do not ever disclose that their key witnesses have serious credibility problems. So this is, at a minimum, we are looking at a New York Times piece that failed to inform its readers about severe credibility issues among some of its premier witnesses, quote unquote, that it put forward in the story.
I wanted to go to a part of a...
Absolutely. I'm going to try and respond to chat some more here. You guys are moving so fast right now. Trying to stay clear of the airlocks. That is a smart decision, Morbius. You wouldn't want to be accidentally kicked out of one. You just linked a video of a spokesperson from the Houthis in Yemen. I got some stuff on the Houthis already in here, but I'll definitely try and take a look at it. Okay.
Podcast interview that Anat Schwartz did on January 3rd, produced by Israel's Channel 12. It was conducted in Hebrew. Here Anat talks about the difficulties and pressures in reporting the story.
Maybe the standard that we have to meet may not be realistic. Maybe it won't be this complete big story that is told from beginning to end and is complex and has details and nuances and characters. And maybe we are aiming too high. Then there was the UN woman and the silence, and there was a lot of preoccupation with it. So I said, we're missing momentum. Maybe the UN isn't addressing sexual assault because no outlet will come out with a declaration about what happened there, and that it will no longer be interesting. And at some point after one of the rewrites, we said, okay, that's it. And then I already informed all the people in the Israeli police who were waiting to see what was going on. What, was the New York Times not believing there were sexual assaults here? And I'm also in this place. I'm also an Israeli, but I also work for the New York Times. So all the time I'm like in this place between the hammer and the anvil.
That's Anat Schwartz.
And yeah, I mean, that description is pretty horrifying because I think it describes someone who is deeply torn ethically and doesn't know what to do about something incredibly serious, that an entire war, quote / genocide, is being waged, and mostly, not entirely, but it's certainly been some of the most inflammatory language used, and some of the most horrific allegations against Hamas up to this, at least up to this point, regarding October 7th. Credibility issues, my dogs, 100%. Good to see you, Goth Dog. It's with Renia, so you know it's based.
Speaking on a podcast on January 3rd, she said she felt between the hammer and the anvil. Which, Jeremy, you choose as the title of your piece. Talk about the significance of that. And again, the relationship between Anat Schwartz and the other reporter, the young reporter, Adam Sella.
Well, another part of this this story is that one of the main victims that was featured in this is referred to as the woman in the black dress. Gal Abdush is her name, and in fact, her family members are the individuals in the feature photo on the piece. And another thing that we've learned from Israeli researchers who published this is that when Anat Schwartz and Adam Sella went to a woman that had taken photographs of Gal Abdush that day, they told this photographer that it was her duty under Israeli Hasbara to cooperate with the New York Times and let them have all of her photos. And Hasbara is the term for public diplomacy, but what it really is...
This isn't even the first time I'm hearing this, chat. Like, I've watched this already. Well, listened to it. But it's just, hearing it again is still just, like, crazy. Like I was saying, you know, it's this huge ethical I want to say clusterfuck, but that's not the technical term for it. But but it's just so problematic. And that description is so poignant.
Is the notion that Israel should engage in externally focused propaganda in order to win over international audiences, primarily Western, the United States and powerful countries, to Israel's point of view. So she's using this term, going and trying to encourage someone to cooperate with the New York Times. Now,
ethically challenged. Okay, that wasn't the word I was searching for either, but it's certainly a synonym for what I was looking for. I appreciate the attempt. Maybe I'll think of the word as we go here.
Not because the New York Times is the most important news organization in the world, but because it's their duty under Israeli Hasbara. So when she talks about being caught between the hammer and the anvil,
I guess
what she's saying.
When I'm talking about ethical clusterfuck, I feel like really what I'm talking about is a loyalty to ethics or to country, right? And it's that ethical battle on loyalty to journalistic integrity or to propaganda, which they're obviously juxtaposed quite violently. Ethically dubious, sure. No apologies from anybody if they fall asleep. And you all do what you got to do.
Is she's caught between her duty to be honest and a journalist and her duty to serve the agenda of the Israeli state. And her partner in this, Adam Sella, is the nephew of Anat Schwartz's partner, and they're not married. In fact, Amy, the New York Times, they requested a correction from us because we had initially said that it was her nephew, which I think in the context of America and other countries, you would say, if you're somebody's longtime life partner, you would say, oh yeah, this is my nephew. Okay, they're not blood relatives, and they emphasize that she's not married. Fine, we corrected that. My question is, where are the corrections in the New York Times piece? The New York Times has grave mischaracterizations, sins of omission, reliance on people who have no forensic or criminology credentials to be asserting that there was a systematic rape campaign put in place here, and to publish this article at a moment when Israel was intensifying after that brief pause where captives were exchanged, intensifying its...
And that's the thing that I feel like he's doing a fantastic job of hitting on, but I just want to do my part in this, that it's the moment, right? And it's the significance of the fact that it's the New York Times. And there's all these things coming together You have an Israeli reporter from the New York Times publishing this piece at this moment that's incredibly important. And so people want to take that seriously. But if you don't do the journalism, then you're literally... I mean, the ramifications of this shit is crazy. And the fact that she chose to maybe seemingly just compromise her ethics for Israel is super fucking gross. Especially because up to this point, I've been essentially accepting that fact, right? Until this piece came out from Ryan Grimm, I've been basically saying to myself, like, that's a thing, right? That's real. There was a systemic campaign of sexual violence against Israeli women. And now it's just like, well, okay. So now, if that's not the case, then what the fuck has this been about? Why have how many thousand now? 35,000 or something like that? Why have 35,000 Palestinians died? I think it's more than that, isn't it? Oh God, the numbers just keeps going up, and it's making me crazy.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Genocidal attack against the people of Gaza. This played a very, very significant role, and the more we learn about this, the more we discover that the reporting tactics that the New York Times used are certainly not up to the standards that the newspaper claims to be promoting. They will not issue any corrections on what has already been documented to be very problematic sins of commission and omission in this piece.
We're going to break and then come back to this conversation. We're talking to Jeremy Scahill, senior reporter at The Intercept. Next up, he'll be joined by Ryan Grimm, who is the Washington bureau chief of The Intercept. And we want to talk to Ryan about what's happening in the New York Times now in response to this story and the leak investigation that's going on, and why a podcast based on their story, their own podcast, The Daily, didn't air. Stay with us. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. We're speaking with Intercept reporters Jeremy Scahill and Ryan Grimm about their expose into the New York Times article that was published at the end of December. They published another one in January. We asked the New York Times for a response to your article, and the international editor, Phil Penn, responded, quote, Ms. Schwartz was part of a rigorous reporting and editing process. She made valuable contributions, and we saw no evidence of bias in her work. We remain confident in the accuracy of our reporting and stand by the team's investigation. But as we've said, her likes of offensive and opinionated social media posts predating her work with us are unacceptable, end quote. Ryan, if you can respond to this and talk about what's going on internally in the Times, and also talk about this leak investigation that's going on within the paper of record.
By her own admission in that podcast interview, she had...
Oh my God, this is a super serious story, but chat is being fucking hilarious. First off, what the hell is anti-eyelid politics? I need an explanation for that stat. Also, obsolete optics, word to the wise, don't ever brush your teeth with a Sonicare toothbrush while wearing Bluetooth earbuds. Wow, we really appreciate that sort of public service announcement from somebody here in chat. Really great. Everybody write that down. All right, I'm going to back this up 10 seconds because I just laughed through Ryan Grimm's opening. Sorry, Ryan.
Ryan, if you can respond to this and talk about what's going on internally in the Times, and also talk about this leak investigation that's going on within the paper of record.
By her own admission in that podcast interview, she had significant violence, because there are two ways to think about what happened on October 7th. The first way is that it was a day of extraordinary mayhem and violence. The Israeli defenses melted away. Not only did you have several thousand Hamas fighters stream across the fence, but you also had hundreds of civilians, some associated with gangs, come across. And in that context, the idea that there would be no sexual assault is not taken seriously by pretty much anybody who understands kind of war and violence. That's one way to think about October 7th. The other way to think about it is that Hamas intentionally and systematically designed a kind of strategy of weaponizing rape and sexual violence. That was what Anat Schwartz and the New York Times kind of believed going into the investigation.
Right.
And oftentimes as journalists, we have something that we think we're going to be able to prove.
I think with journalism, oftentimes, like, it's difficult not to come into something with a sort of hypothesis, like a scientist, right? Where you're thinking critically, but you do have some sort of inkling of what you believe is happening in a story, right? I don't think anybody's just going out there and filming a bush hoping that a story jumps out of the bush, right? So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna let Ryan keep talking. I'm just thinking out loud, really.
Report it out, and then we can't quite get it. Like we just don't land the story. But what the Times did is they wrote the story anyway. But that gets you then to the daily episode. So this article comes out at the very end of December, as the New York Times always does. Its landmark pieces get turned into episodes of their flagship podcast, The Daily. But immediately after the story came out, it started coming under criticism because, as Jeremy pointed out, a lot of the named subjects of the story have enormous credibility problems. And so this starts getting pointed out. Inside the Times, the producers of The Daily have their own kind of fact-checking process where they go over the stories. And the original script that was produced for that first episode had to be discarded because the producers there couldn't stand behind it. So they redrafted a second script, which had a lot of caveats and was closer to the first version that I laid out just now, which is an interesting podcast episode and is something worth exploring. But if they had aired that, it would have raised questions about why they were walking away from the certainty of the original piece. So we reported on
that. It would have been nice if they could have allowed for questions. Journalism should, I feel like, always create some number of questions for people, even if it answers questions. I feel like good journalism is going to get you to think further into a subject and ask, well, why is that happening? Or what can I do about it? Or whatever else. And keep your eyelids. I still don't understand what this anti-eyelid politics going on are, but I'm suspect of it.
The kind of machinations inside the New York Times about this, the controversy, the disputes that were going on. And since then, as Vanity Fair reported, the New York Times has, rather than reviewing the kind of journalism that went into this, they are launching a leak investigation to try to figure out who's talking to us.
In February, one of the reporters behind the New York Times investigation, the Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter Jeffrey Gettleman, spoke at a conference on conflict-related sexual violence hosted by Columbia University. He talked about the piece.
I did some stories about hostages, and pretty soon, I mean, maybe, I don't know, within the first few days of this attack, we were hearing reports of rape and mutilations of women. We heard it right away. And maybe people in this room remember those videos of the female soldiers being taken away and the body of that one woman, Shani Locke, in the back of a pickup truck, half naked. Right away, there was obviously crimes against women that happened. So because, sadly, I have some experience doing this, I began looking to see what we could find out. And I worked with two other colleagues, and we interviewed almost 200 people over the course of 2 months. And what we found, I don't want to even use the word evidence, because evidence is almost like a legal term that suggests you're trying to prove an allegation or prove a case in court. That's not my role. We all have our roles, and my role is to document.
So I wanted to get a response to what he is saying there. He's talking, by the way, to Sheryl Sandberg, the former COO of Meta, Facebook, Jeremy Scahill, if you can talk about what he sees his role as a reporter.
I mean, this is an astonishing comment from Jeffrey Gettleman. I mean, what is he talking about? That it's not the job of journalists to uncover evidence. If you're going to have a headline that, by the way, let me just say this.
Yeah, I would point out that the sort of journalism that he just described is essentially what I think is called like tabloid journalism, right? Where we just gotta get the story out right now, and no big deal. We don't have to do any sort of fact checking on this one. Let's just it's salacious. We needs the money right now, man. Come on, let's just get this story out, and we'll be good to go. And it's just it's gross, especially when you're talking about something this serious, right? Like if you're talking about the dating life of, I don't know, whatever, Donald Trump, yeah, go for it. That's not world ending in any way. But this, come on, this is way too serious. All of it's too serious. The allegations are too serious. The situation itself is, and just wow.
The Screams Without Words headline comes from a source named Roz Cohen, who was at the Nova Music Festival, and he claims to have witnessed a rape of a woman that he said was, and he's a Israeli Special Forces veteran, and he has been very adamant that the people who he saw committing this crime were not Hamas, that they were ordinary people. And he has said that in numerous interviews. But to have that, and he's the one who said it was like Screams Without Words. They're using a headline from a person whose testimony undermines the thesis of their blockbuster story. So just to put that on the table, but for Gettleman to say that it's not the job of journalists to produce evidence, when you're going to say in the middle of a war where civilians are being starved and killed in an operation that is under review now by the International Court of Justice for genocide, if you're going to then make an allegation that Hamas implemented a systematic rape campaign, and you say it's not your job to produce evidence, then what is the job of a journalist in a situation like this? Because honestly, if you really read their piece carefully, much of it is innuendo. Much of it is based on sources who have either credibility issues or lack professional credentials to weigh in on these matters. This is a grave, grave situation. This is one of the most important pieces of journalism that has been produced during this war, and one of the most consequential. And for the lead reporter, who himself has won the Pulitzer and is an experienced war correspondent, to say that it's not the job of the New York Times to present evidence in an article asserting that Hamas systematically raped women, it's astonishing. It's astonishing.
And also, the prestigious George Polk Award for Foreign Reporting this year was awarded to the staff of the New York Times. The citation reading in part, quote, "For unsurpassed coverage of the war between Israel and Hamas, Times reporters use firsthand accounts to demonstrate how brutal and well-planned the Hamas attack was."
Just keep blinking, 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 blinking into the future. All right, you people with your blinking. That was a serious piece, and you turned it into a blink fest. But no, seriously, I hope people, if anybody didn't see this already, hope you learned something from that. That was certainly, even for a second viewing for me, that was, it was just rough to hear the lack of seriousness that piece was treated with, and then was touted by literally every single person defending the actions of Israel in this situation. And now I'm questioning every single argument and debate that I've heard since the beginning of October 6th last year. Okay, what's next? Oh god, do I have this much stuff left to go? I've already gone 2.5 hours. And I started so late. Alright, chat, I need a second. I'll be right back. Okay, chat. I am back. Hopefully you enjoyed the poolside view. And the, hopefully, I do hope that this music that I've got going provides some sort of, vibe. Maybe somewhere between BioShock and, something. I don't know. But I'm just trying to make it a little bit interesting, a little weird. Anyway, if you have not heard this before, I have actually got a Patreon going now. So if you want to be able to get special perks as well as access to different content, check me out. The link is in the description in my YouTube bio. Okay, fucking hell. No more of that. You feel like you're in an asylum. But I feel like that's kind of the vibe, right? BioShock is literally... Am I not right about this one? If anybody's played the game BioShock, I think it takes place in an asylum. Or at least one of them does. Or I don't know. That game makes you feel like you're in an asylum. Maybe it doesn't actually take place in them. It just makes me feel crazy. But yeah, that's kind of the vibe. That's kind of the vibe. Okay, what's up next? Alright, did we watch this one already? Why is this in my playlist if I've watched it? Is this another one? Fuck it, we're just gonna watch this one too. I think this is a new one. So this is another Israeli protest blocking food convoys from civilians in Gaza. Or wait, maybe, I feel like we've definitely watched this. If we've watched this, that's my fault, folks, but, you know, can't be perfect. Sometimes something slips in there. Okay, whoops, too far, back one. There we go. Wait, is it going to the wrong... No, don't do this.
More work to do.
Oh, you're killing me right now. Sorry, chat. I had this in a different order on one list, and that did not help. What in the actual fuck? PBS right now? What are you thinking? Why would I want that right now? That's not what I want. Lord. Just kidding. Tricked you. Okay, how about you work this time? How's that sound? Does that sound good to you? I think we did watch this.
President Biden has warned Israel that there are no excuses for not allowing more aid into Gaza. The US military has released more footage tonight of another humanitarian aid drop in Gaza, 60 bundles of food, which they say provide more than 36,000 meals. The United States says a quarter of the population is now close to famine. Our senior international correspondent Orla Guerin has sent this report from the Israel-Egypt border, a warning it can...
It's so hard sometimes because I see the same people over and over again. I see the same footage over again because everybody uses the same footage. And then you're like, wait, am I having deja vu, or have I definitely seen this more than once? I feel like I've definitely seen this.
Upsetting images.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yep. Yep, we definitely already did see this. We saw this yesterday, and it's disturbing. If you haven't seen it, go watch it again. I genuinely don't think I can watch this one 2 times in a row in one day. Those fucking images are so terrifying. Fuck me. That is horrible.
They are killing children.
That's fucking horrible. Okay, hold on. Switching to this. What is this? Oh, good. I think everybody probably already hears the sarcasm in my voice. This is a video about a Palestinian child who was shot. Aid groups label Palestine as the most dangerous place for children in the entire world. Here's Al Jazeera.
He says, clutching the shoes of his 10-year-old nephew. A blood-soaked shroud covers Amr Najjar's head wound. A father, unable to look at his son's lifeless body, also unable to pull himself away. His mother says Amr was no threat to Israeli soldiers who raided Bahrain on Monday. He was just sitting in a car with his father, going to the shops, when he was shot in the head and fell into his father's lap.
Amr insisted on going out with his father, even though we tried to stop him. When he was leaving, I put the hat on his head. He asked me why. I told him I was worried about him getting cold.
4 other Palestinians were killed in the occupied West Bank this week. Ages 13, 2 were 16, 1 was 18. All from high-velocity ammunition fired from military rifles. It is typical of life under Israeli military occupation that has been going on for decades.
By targeting the children, they are targeting the future of the Palestinian people. So arresting children and denying them their rights, killing them, it's like killing the future of those children, targeting the future of the Palestinian people.
International aid groups say Israel's military has made Palestine the most dangerous place in the world to be a child.
Oh, this is just so uplifting. Good God. Can barely handle it. Oh. Hold on, I'm just going to take a break and try and read chat here. Wow, you people are writing some very long messages, really testing my abilities here. Do you know what the Discord link is? What's with the Discord question? Oh. What's the deal with this channel's Discord? What's wrong? What do you mean, what's the deal with it? Oh, you just needed the link. Oh, I see. Okay. That makes sense. Glad that you got the link. You have to wait 10 minutes before you can react to the rules, which are necessary to gain access to the rest of the server. What else is going on here? Like driving at night's nice, for sure. I like flying the space station at night sometimes. It's real calming, real peaceful. Good old-fashioned sarcasm, just like Daria used to make. Yeah, am I comparable to Daria? Do I have the Daria vibe?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Okay, do I continue watching this? Yes, because they haven't even talked about part of this.
Last 5 months, it is far more dangerous, far more deadly to be a child in the occupied territories than it was for an American soldier in Afghanistan or Iraq.
Wow.
Funerals for Palestinian children, little boys.
So, what? Okay, so kids in the West Bank, not even where Israel is supposedly waging a war, it's more dangerous for children than it was for soldiers in Afghanistan? What?
Young men is so commonplace, and more are dying from gunshot wounds to the head and chest.
Child protection groups say right now Israeli tactics are more brutal, they are targeting younger people, and shooting to kill. As Amr Najjar's family lays him to rest, they're asking the same question as so many Palestinian families before them. Why the world is watching children dying, but doing nothing to stop it. Zain Basravi, Al Jazeera, Bahrain, in the occupied West.
That is so depressing. Okay. Gonna maintain composure. Let's see. Next video. This is from yesterday. Almost exactly 1 day from yesterday, this came out. These are some pro-Palestinian activists who disrupted the New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand at a meeting. I'm sure it was very inconvenient for her.
Gillibrand, how can you say that you represent New
Yorkers, when 70% of this country demands a ceasefire in Gaza, when 45% of New Yorkers demand a ceasefire, when 53% of New Yorkers do not want to send...
Look at these look at these people just yelling at this poor girl to shut up. Why don't you shut up about genocide already? You're selfish. This is an important meeting we're having here at this what appears to be a church.
Israeli funding or military aid anymore.
Senator Gillibrand, you received $366,000 from pro-Israel lobbies in this past election cycle. Why are you allowing your interests to be bought by foreign governments?
We're sending billions of our taxpayer dollars.
This guy has a real fucking problem. And what's great is we have video of it so we can do stuff. No, I'm not even going to record it. I was thinking about recording it, but this guy, his voice bothers me, I think. But let me listen to this again. Oh, look at his poor wife who's trying to get him to stop being a complete psychopath. She's like, oh, please, please, Daniel, not again. Would you stop yelling at the pretty girl because you're upset? I feel bad for multiple people in this situation right now.
30,000 people have been murdered.
You have the money to correct these historic wrongs. If you took the money that you had given to Israel, the $15 billion you gave to Israel of our taxpayer money.
You are lying to the people, saying there is a peace process when Israel is the...
Oh, the elderly seem very angry these days. I don't know what's up with them. I thought they were supposed to be mild-mannered and stuff like that. That seemed a little bit uncouth.
Consistently declining a ceasefire. 25-year-old Aaron Bushnell gave up his life, immolating his last words were free Palestine. And this is what you do to political opponents. My family members are being murdered.
Let her speak.
Last week, 3 more of my family members have been murdered in Gaza. She's not answering though. She's not answering.
Yep, that's true. You just did your Beavis impression? I didn't hear it, but I can hear it in my head now, and it's really, really good. You didn't really cruise, but you like driving at night because there was no traffic. Okay, I see that. I can see that. Yeah, no, absolutely. Shooting children is definitely an evil act. I should try some weed. What state is this in again? New York, yeah. Yeah, it's available. It's very readily available.
Every single morning I wake up and I see Palestinians dying day after day after day after day, body after body after body, with our taxpayer dollars funding it.
How many Palestinian children need to be killed before you call for a ceasefire? You have blood on your hands. My people deserve to live. My people deserve to live. You have blood on your hands.
Yep. And she just sits there with a placid look on her face like it's NBD. Right? Am I wrong? And maybe you can't see this, so maybe I should take a picture of it and enlarge it for you. But she just looks super chill right now. Please hold.
He looks good, and he looks hard.
You did get Kylie Jenner TikTok furious with you, though? Wait, what? You did get Kylie Jenner TikTok furious with you, though? I am... what? I'm so confused by that sentence. Wait, maybe I should read the first one. When Kylie was helping her daughter put on her shoes, her daughter just did this to the camera. Eyes emoji. I see that. I see what's happening. Okay. I'll be honest, I don't keep up regularly with Kylie Jenner or her TikTok. I don't know what that means about me, but it just doesn't reach the level of importance as some of the other stuff going on. Okay, hold on. Let's see if I can manage to blow this face up for us all so we can assess it together. Come on, don't be shy. Does this look like a woman who's concerned to you? She's got this Mona Lisa smile going on here in this face, like in this photo, and it's real off-putting, considering the people crying and screaming about genocide that genuinely, like, the United States has done nothing but help happen. And it's pretty gross. Okay. Alright, that's good enough. Let's move on to the next video. It means I'm living my best life? Fuck yeah. That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. And I'm just going to take that at face value, not question it one bit, and accept it as the truth. Okay, this next video is real short. This is the AP. This is just, I just felt like it was important to like just remember to keep in perspective how these things are kind of going on. So this was 20 hours ago, and this is the Iron Dome intercepting rocket barrage fire. So, yeah, Iron Dome is still apparently working perfectly fine, stopping all missiles heading into Israel, so, you know. Okay, this, where am I now? Okay, yeah, this is a TRT world video called Tactical Occupation. Israel's siege, aggression, and theft in the Palestinian town of Huwara. And just so that everyone is aware, sorry, I'm leaning away from my microphone there. It's hard to do everything all at once. Huwara is in the West Bank. Sorry, that's what I was trying to say to everybody. So that is what this is all about. Let's see what they got to say.
Murder. اجت رصاصة بالقلب مباشرة. Siege.
ما راح انه 50 يوم هو اصلا مسكر على الناس.
Sorry, hold on. I gotta go back. Fucking hell, chat. Oh, it's too funny. So the video with Kylie Jenner and her daughter got 17 million views. Wow. Not bad. But BCat's comment got 40,000 likes. Impressive. That's impressive. Your comment game is on fleek. Got that comment riz going on.
Murder. اجت رصاصة بالقلب مباشرة.
Siege. ما راح انه 50 يوم هو اصلا مسكر على الناس، ما كان متطلع احنا من وين بنجيب خبز.
Vandalism.
دمروا مصالح تجارية، حرقوا مئات السيارات، هاجموا البيوت.
And land occupation.
السلة الزراعية لحوارة تمت مصادرتها.
Oh shit, they're going back and forth between English and Arabic. This is fucking me up. I did not realize this. Hold on. Take two, chat. Take two. This time I'm gonna read.
أجت رصاصة بالقلب
The
مباشرة.
bullet hit him right in the heart. I actually might have to turn this down. So, no, but they're going back and forth between English. Oh, that's gonna fuck me up bad. Oh, I'm gonna try, chat. I'm gonna do my best.
Siege.
Israel blocked the roads for 50 days without caring where he would buy our bread.
Vandalism.
They destroyed shops, burned hundreds of cars, and raided houses.
Land occupation.
The agricultural plains of Hawara were confiscated by a military
This
order.
is what Israel has been doing in Hawara for years. Hawara, an old town in southern Nablus, is home to a pivotal main road that connects the north of Palestine's occupied West Bank to its south, and it has been a target for the Israeli army and illegal Israeli settlers well before October 7, particularly so since the Battle of the Flags in 2022.
بيحاولوا اليهود إنه يظهروا حوارة كجزء من.
Wait, what happened? Oh, my dogs are saying that BCAT went viral. Okay. a care jenner ruined it. They literally ruined everything. Most importantly, the planet. Damn you, care jenners. You'll never dance on TikTok. We don't want to see that because we'll never be able to unsee it. Well, we appreciate that act of bravery and we appreciate that. Yeah.
بينزلوا العلم الفلسطيني بيرفعوا العلم الإسرائيلي. طبعا هذا الشيء مناقض لكل الاتفاقيات الدولية. ممنوع انك انت تزيل علم كيان معترف فيه اللي هي دولة فلسطين من قبل الأمم المتحدة.
One of the most recent and brutal assaults in Hawara happened on October 5, 2023, when Israeli forces shut down all Palestinian shops, blocked vehicle and pedestrian passage on the main road, attacked Palestinians, and vandalized.
The thing about this is it's easy to forget that like you're looking at essentially a completely different country with a completely different government, right? That doesn't have Hamas, right? And that's who is having this happen to them. Is Palestinians from the West Bank, which is effectively a completely different place, even though it's like literally 15 miles away or something stupid close. And it's just it is just nuts. I don't understand how they can even start to justify any of this, right? And it's just wait, ignore me. Yeah, you dance away. You dance away, Morbius. I was wrong. Monope is right.
15 هاجموا بيت الشهيد لبيب ضميدي. عشرات المستوطنين أو مئات المستوطنين بحماية جيش الاحتلال هاجموا البيت، كسروا سياراتهم، كسروا شبابيك البيت. بمجرد إنه المواطن طلع على ظهر بيته عشان يحمي حاله إنه ما يدخلوا عليه على البيت ويعملوا فيهم مجزرة، قتلوه.
يوم ما استشهد لبيب قلنا إحنا 13 واحد على ظهر البيت.
This is something I gotta stop doing to myself, which happens more frequently than I would like. I wind up with videos like this where I have to read everything for you all because I don't think about it when I'm finding these videos. I'm like, oh, this is a good video. And then I realize, oh shit, I've put myself into a pickle. Alright, honestly, I'm gonna move forward because my voice is like kind of beat right now. Sorry, chat. If you really wanted to watch that, it is on TRT World, labeled Tactical Occupation. Israel Siege. But this is a video from 15 hours ago from Democracy Now! Another one. Gotta love Democracy Now! This is entitled What I Witnessed in Gaza is a Holocaust. Palestinian writer Susan Abulawa. I might not be right on that name, but I'm trying. Oops.
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Mimi Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. A UN convoy of food trucks trying to bring 200 tons of food into northern Gaza was turned back by the Israeli military today. A convoy of 14 trucks waited for 3 hours at the Wadi Gaza checkpoint in central Gaza before it was turned away by the Israeli military and later stopped by a large crowd of desperate people who, quote, looted the food, according to the World Food Program. This comes as Israeli forces have repeatedly opened fire on Palestinians seeking to get aid in northern Gaza, killing at least 119 people in the most deadly attack February 29th. Hunger has reached catastrophic levels in Gaza.
Jesus
Palestinian
Christ.
Health Ministry said today the death
That
toll
image
from
just-
malnutrition and dehydration has risen to 18, adding, quote, the famine's deepening and will claim thousands of lives if the aggression is not halted and humanitarian and medical aid is not immediately brought in, unquote. Children, pregnant women, those with chronic illnesses are most vulnerable. Meanwhile, the Israeli bombardment continues with shelling and airstrikes today in cities across the Gaza Strip, including in Rafah, Khan Yunis, Deir al-Balah, and elsewhere. At least 30,700 Palestinians have been killed, over 72,000 wounded in Gaza over the past 5 months. Nearly the entire population has been displaced from their homes. For more, we go to Cairo, Egypt, where we're joined by Susan Abu Hawa, a Palestinian novelist, poet, and activist, author of several books, best known for her debut novel, Mornings in Jenin, an international bestseller translated into 32 languages, considered a classic in Palestinian literature. She's the founder and co-director of Playgrounds for Palestine, a children's organization, and the executive director of Palestine Rights Literature Festival. She just returned from Gaza after spending 2 weeks there, as now in Cairo. Susan, welcome to Democracy Now! If you can talk about what you saw, you have written, some are eating straight.
I feel like Amy right now with the voice, but she's been doing this for like 40 years.
And dogs, which are themselves starving and sometimes feeding on human remains that litter streets where Israeli snipers pick off people who dare to venture within the sight of their scopes. The old and weak have already died of hunger and thirst. Describe your trip.
So that part of the essay is in the northern region where nobody really is allowed to go. Trying to venture into the north is a suicide mission. There are tanks and snipers positioned, and anyone trying to get there is basically killed.
Jesus fucking Christ.
As you just mentioned, aid trucks are not getting in either. They are intentionally stopped, and it's an intentional starvation, basically. I was primarily in the south, in Rafah. I was able to go to Khan Yunis and to Nusayrat and a few other places in the middle region, but that became increasingly more dangerous. I want to say that the reality on the ground is infinitely worse than the worst videos and photos that we're seeing in the West. There is a, beyond people being buried alive en masse in their homes, their bodies being shredded to pieces, these kinds of videos and images that people are seeing. Beyond that, there is this daily massive degradation of life. It is a total denigration of a whole society that was once high functioning and proud.
Yep. Whoa. Stop.
Launching sites for drones.
Whoa. My computer just took control of my frickin' situation. How dare you? Okay. Alright, so we got 2 videos coming up here on the Houthi Red Sea attack. The first one is DW News. That's that German online publication. They might have a paper too. I'm not sure about that one though. But yeah, we're gonna watch this, and then I have another one to watch as well. God, that one really was rough. That woman, the way she described that made it really feel just all the more real. Not intentionally rhyming.
This is DW News, live from Berlin. Houthi attacks on international shipping.
Holy fuck, that's loud. Sorry, chat. Try that again.
Turned deadly. Yemen's Houthi rebels strike a commercial vessel in the Gulf of Aden, killing 2 people. They're the first fatality since the group started targeting ships late last year. Also coming up, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley ends her bid for the White House after losses to Donald Trump on Super Tuesday.
That's right. That's right. I almost forgot about this. She talks about a bunch of stuff that's unimportant up until about here.
Joining us from around the world, welcome to the show. Western officials say 2 sailors have been killed in a missile attack on a commercial ship off Yemen. The Houthi rebels have claimed responsibility for the attack. These are the first deaths reported since the Iran-backed group began its strikes in the Red Sea. The Houthis have been carrying out these attacks, they say, in retaliation to Israel's campaign in Gaza. U.S. and British forces have responded by striking Houthi targets in Yemen, but have so far failed to deter the group. Washington says it would continue to hold the Houthis accountable for such attacks without specifying what that would mean.
I gotta say, Morbius, it does seem like chat really wants you to do TikToks. So, you know, that's not legally binding or technically might count as peer pressure, but, you know, it's really up to you. So don't let us decide your life. But with that said, clearly everybody wants you to do it, so you better think about it. Better think about it, buddy. Just teasing you. TikTok's format is terrible for PC viewers. I don't appreciate TikTok's format very much. I really try to avoid watching shorts because I feel like it's too bit-sized in terms of information, and it makes it so that most videos that are shorts don't have very much context at all. And I find it just kind of frustrating because I'm sort of a person that likes to think about things like historical context and other sorts of frameworks, but if you're doing 30 seconds at a time, well, you know, doesn't really lend itself to that, does it?
The United States will continue to hold the Houthis accountable for their attacks, which have not just disrupted international commerce, not just disrupted the freedom of navigation in international waters, and not just endangered seafarers, but now tragically killed a number of them.
Let's get more from Stefan Simonson in Washington. Stefan, the first deaths in the Red Sea. How do you expect the U.S.-led Western alliance in the Red Sea to respond?
Yeah, though, first of all, there is an American Navy asset and an Indian Navy asset on the scene helping and assisting with the rescue of those sailors who were not killed but had to abandon ship. Some of them are badly wounded, and American Navy elements as well as Indian Navy elements are helping those sailors who made it off the ship. Now, however, you know, this is, of course, not new. This started all in November last year when the Houthis declared that from then on they would attack any naval vessel affiliated, and that is open to definition. What is affiliated is to the US, to the UK, and to Israel. All of that, of course, because of the Gaza or Hamas-Israeli war. Now, just a few days ago, a U.S. destroyer, the USS Carney, was attacked by Houthis by bomb-dropping drones and a missile. Of course, the destroyer was able to defend itself and shoot this drone and those missiles down. But again, what is to expect now is retaliatory measures from the U.S., from the U.K., from the U.S.-led coalition that is fighting Houthi action in the Gulf of Aden in this critical shipping route.
What could those retaliatory actions look like?
I think we've already seen what they look like.
Airstrikes.
It's going to be the same stuff we've been seeing. You know, aircraft carriers with a sea of planes leaving and bombing Yemen. I think that much is pretty clear.
The last few were a few weeks back.
You've only seen Vines on YouTube? Remember Vines? I do remember Vines. That's a throwback. Wow. But Vines, I feel like they should have somehow copyrighted time, because that whole situation is unfortunate, because really TikTok's really kind of filled that same exact void that they left.
And what is targeted then is radar sites, launching sites for drones, for missiles in Houthi-controlled Yemen territory, as well as communication, radar, etc., etc. Now, they have not been very successful, as we can clearly see. They have made a dent, at least that's what the US and what the British authorities tell us, but there is apparently more work to do, since the Houthis are still able to cause a lot of damage and now even human loss. With those attacks in the Gulf of Aden.
Yeah, could you kindly remind our viewers why the U.S. is so keen on getting this shipping route under control?
Well, follow the money. It is a critical shipping route for anything coming from Asia, connecting the Middle East and Asia, shipping and products and manufacturers to Europe, as well as to the United States. So this is critical, and the U.S. has always made itself a protector of international shipping routes, and this has commercial reasons, of course. So follow the money. That is why the U.S. and European partners are really concerned and determined to get the Houthis to stop what they're doing right now.
Okay. That's enough from DW. Got another to this, so I'm going to kind of hold my tongue for a second without saying too much. What's fading away? I don't know what that's referring to. Okay, wait. Whoopsies. What in the...
Yeah.
That was Stefan Simons.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Now this is a video recommended by one of my viewers in the Discord, and I was reminded to check it out. This is a breakthrough news exclusive with Rania Kalik, and she is interviewing the leader of Yemen, I believe, in this interview. So this seems pretty fucking relevant. Let's watch this. This just came out 15 hours ago. Yeah, I think 15 hours ago is what it said. I know it was very recently. So, okay, let's get into this.
I'm Rania Kalik, and this is Dispatches.
And this is slightly quieter than the other video.
Throughout the genocide in Gaza, one of the poorest countries in the region, Yemen, has stood up against Israel and its Western backers in solidarity with the people of Palestine by blocking certain ships in the Red Sea, inflicting material consequences to pressure the US and Israel to stop the genocide. The US has responded by bombing Yemen and redesignating Ansar Allah, often referred to in the Western press as the Houthis, as a terrorist organization. Joining me to discuss Yemen's intervention against genocide in Gaza is Mohammed al-Bukhaiti, a senior political official and spokesperson for Yemen's Ansar Allah. Mohammed al-Bukhaiti, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So let's jump right into it. I guess the first question I'd like to ask you is, can you explain to our viewers, why did Yemen get involved in the war on Gaza?
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. هدف عملياتنا العسكرية سواء في البحر الأحمر أو في عمق الكيان الصهيوني هو وقف جرائم الإبادة الجماعية في غزة ورفع الحصار عن سكانها. وعملياتنا العسكرية في البحر الأحمر لا تهدف إلى الاستيلاء على السفن المرتبطة بالكيان الصهيوني ولا إغراقها، وإنما
I've done it again, folks. Hold the fucking phone. This time, though, I'm gonna actually read. So I'm gonna have to fuck with the volume a little bit. Alright, I'm going to turn this down slightly, and I'm going to read while he's talking. The goal of our military... Oh, wait, no. Go back.
I guess the first question I'd like to ask you is, can you explain to our viewers, why did Yemen get involved in the war on Gaza?
In the name of God, most gracious, the goal of our military operations, whether in the Red Sea or in the depth of the Zionist entity, is to stop the genocide in Gaza and lift the siege of its residents. As for our operations in the Red Sea, they do not aim to take over ships associated with the Zionist entity or sink them, but rather change their paths in order to raise the economic cost on the Zionist entity. As a pressure card in order to stop the genocide in Gaza and lift the siege. But the involvement of the US and Britain and their push to involve other countries led to the expansion of the conflict and the increase in our military operations in the Red and Arabian Seas. Thus, we consider that our war is a moral one, and when the assault on Gaza ceases and the siege is lifted, we will stop immediately and unconditionally. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna have to do this. I have to do this through the whole interview, but I think it's important. This is serious journalism going on here. Okay. And of course, I'm not referring to myself, but breakthrough news, of course.
Initially, it was...
Yeah, you head off to bed, Latino. It's good seeing you. And we will see you next time.
Israeli ships being targeted or ships destined for Israel, and you've now expanded your operations to target US and British ships. Can you explain why?
نحن في السابق لم نكن نستهدف إلا السفن المرتبطة بالكيان الصهيوني.
In the past, we were only targeting ships associated with the Zionist entity.
ولكن تورط الولايات
But the involvement of the US and Britain in the assault of Yemen and the targeting of military and civilians
الأمريكية وبريطانيا في العدوان على اليمن واستهداف مواقع عسكرية وكذلك مواقع
military and civilian positions has pushed us to
دفعنا
retaliate.
إلى الرد على تلك الهجمات.
We had affirmed in the past that the involvement of the US, Britain, or any other country in an attack on Yemen would invoke a retaliation against their military forces or interests in the region. Thus, the US and Britain had no right to attack Yemen, because our military intervention was against the Zionist entity and for humane and moral reasons.
And what would need to happen for your targeting of ships to end?
Stopping the aggregation against Gaza and the US and British aggression against Yemen.
And then can you explain what you're accomplishing by targeting an international shipping route?
Like I said, our military operations in the Red Sea are for moral reasons and as self-defense. The goal is to stop the genocide in Gaza and also to defend Yemen against the US-British aggression. We are intent on preserving the safety and security of shipping in the Red and Arabian Seas. Of course, it was the US and Britain who first used maritime siege against their foes. As the US and Britain uses these methods against Yemen, and oh shit, that was fast. Yeah, see that again.
وطبعا أول من استخدم أسلوب الحصار البحري ضد خصومها هي أمريكا وبريطانيا، حيث أن أمريكا وبريطانيا استخدمت هذا الأسلوب.
We are still suffering from that siege until today.
9 سنوات ولا زلنا نعاني من الحصار حتى اليوم، وأيضا استخدمت نفس الأسلوب ضد سوريا
They are
وكذلك
also using some methods
ضد
against
إيران
Syria and
ولو
also against
بشكل
Iran
جزئي.
through
وبالتالي
partially. We use this
استخدام
method
الحصار
not for wait,
البحري
that just jumped ahead.
كورقة ضغط
We use this method for not for immoral
هو
reasons like the
أسلوب
U.S. and Britain
أمريكي
do,
ونحن قد
but for humane and
أستخدم هذا
ethical reasons,
الأسلوب
especially that
ليس
we are in a
لأغراض
direct
لا
confrontation with
أخلاقية
the
كما
Zionist
تفعل أمريكا
entity.
وبريطانيا وإنما لأغراض أخلاقية وإنسانية خصوصا وأننا في حالة حرب مباشرة مع الكيان الصهيوني وفرض
Enforcing
الحصار
maritime siege between
البحري
countries that are
المتبادل
at war is
بين
common and
الدول
within the rules of
المتصارعة
engagement.
أو المتحاربة هو شيء معروف وضمن قواعد الاشتباك. والسؤال هو
The question is
ما
what has
الذي
pushed the
دفع
U.S. and Britain to
أمريكا
get involved in this war
وبريطانيا
for reasons that are neither.
للتورط في هذه الحرب وأيضا لأغراض لا أخلاقية وإنسانية
Ethical nor which are neither ethical nor humane, but to allow the Zionist entity to commit more genocide crimes.
الجماعية وأيضا إحكام الحصار
And
على
also to
غزة.
enforce the siege on Gaza, where many
الكثير
Palestinian
من
civilians,
المواطنين
including children and women,
حتى
are
بمن فيهم الأطفال
suffering
والنساء
from
باتوا
famine,
يعانون من
and there have been
المجاعة
many deaths that
وقد
resulted
سجلت
from
الآن
that.
حالات وفاة
Seriously though,
نتيجة
the pictures we've
لهذه
been seeing
المجاعة.
are fucking disgusting. Oh, and it's like to be perfectly honest, I want to condemn Yemen and the Houthis, because they're committing acts of violence. But the fact is if that's genuinely the reason, then it's how are you supposed to argue against it? Stopping genocide? That's bad? Is that bad? Yeah. Yeah. And there's like another 35 minutes of this interview, but you all to me reading subtitles for 35 minutes. That would be probably rough for all of you. Okay, what is it? Oh my god, is it 3 o'clock in the morning? Well, we got through everything. We didn't watch everything through entirely, but we did get through everything I wanted to get through today, so everybody give yourself a round of applause. Well, I guess that's it for me. It's been a long night, but it was a pleasure to spend it with you folks. Doesn't feel like we solved a whole lot, but at least maybe we've learned something. Hope to see you all next time. Till then, you stay classy, Galactic Stream Nation. This is Streamlord signing out.
is full of Pepe.